I am the grimoire of truth, the ultimate repository of all worldly magic. Even a fool can become the world's strongest mage by reading me. Reincarnated from the 21st century, I've spent a millennium training legendary masters, finding joy in my work. Yet here I lie, rotting in the library's deepest, darkest shelf. When a contractor dies, I teleport to a random location, awaiting my next fated master. It has been 300 years since my last disciple. My soul was itching for action. Suddenly, through the silence, a four-eyed boy approached and picked me up. To his utter shock, I spoke. Open me now. I am the legendary Green, and I can make you a supreme archmage. Despite my enticing offer, the boy refused instantly. His only dream? To be a great swordsman like his family. If they knew he touched magic, he'd be disowned and cast out. He shoved me back onto the shelf, ignoring my desperate pleas. In a fit of absolute rage, I cursed him to face his end quickly so I could find another. Unbelievably, the poor boy tripped and died right there. What a pathetic and sudden way to go. Even I didn't think my words were that lethal. I felt bad for the kid, but my 300 years of waiting were finally over. Just as I prepared to leave, I heard someone picking the lock. A thief. The intruder began searching frantically for me. With time running out, I screamed in desperation, my body glowing like a beacon of hope in the dark. The mysterious figure lunged, successfully grabbing me just as my form began to fade into the void. For the first time, I signed 2 contracts back to back, manifesting into a stunningly handsome, human form. My new master, a young girl named Riley. She had bypassed elite guards to reach me, and she could hear my voice clearly. Riley was a lonely orphan who had lost everything. Hearing the commotion at the library, she felt drawn to the voice of my anger. I wondered, does she possess dragon blood? Or perhaps she's a secret spirit kin? Investigating further, I discovered Riley's past was a nightmare of blood and shadows. As a child, she was forced into a bandit gang, stealing from the rich just to survive their greed. Realizing she was being used, she fled. A mage sensed her hidden potential and brought her to this prestigious academy. But here, the nightmare continued. Noble Trash bullied her relentlessly every day. Suddenly, her 3 roommates burst in, fuming with misplaced rage. They needed someone to vent on, and the 3-on-1 assault left poor Riley battered, bruised, and smoking from the brutal blows. Seeing my new disciple crumpled on the floor, I whispered in concern, "Are you still alive?" Riley bolted upright, shaking off the pain like it was nothing. "I'm fine," she grunted coldly. "It's not enough to kill me." I sighed, feeling her silent agony. Why endure such senseless cruelty? Riley explained that they were high-ranking nobles. If she fought back, she'd be expelled instantly. I narrowed my eyes. At this rate, those brats will prevent you from ever mastering magic. Riley looked up, her eyes filled with uncertainty. What should I do then? She asked softly. I gave her 2 paths. Endure this hellish academy, or walk away and learn from me. Neither choice was easy, and Riley's face darkened with frustration. I simply shrugged my shoulders. That is the nature of fate. A safe, predictable prison, or the dangerous freedom outside. Decision made. Within minutes, she had resigned. I watched in awe at her newfound icy resolve. Quitting took less than 3 minutes, just a few signatures, and her old life was officially over. Riley looked at my handsome human form. Can only I see you like this? I nodded. Indeed. This form is for my contractor only. My true essence is an ancient, forbidden grimoire. At a fork in the road, I tested her. Do you know which way to go? No, she replied bluntly. Perfect. Then let me teach you your very first high-level magic. It was a pathfinding spell. Riley focused, mana swirling in her palm into a glowing orb. She released it, and streaks of light exploded forward, mapping out the world like divine veins. Traps to the left, a dead end to the right. Riley sought the spirit book's wisdom. Greenwar scoffed. Average, stable, but far too mundane. Break your chains. Stop following the rules of the weak. You were born for greatness. Try something radical. Instead of a single beam, scatter your mana. Explode your power in every direction. Release the energy. Trace every single particle. Mastery begins with total focus. A flood of raw data surged into Riley's mind. Under Green's guidance, she saw everything. They boarded the escape train just in time. The Academy's shadows were left behind. Reviewing their stolen treasures, Green smirked. A decent haul. Now, let's vanish. 300 years rotting in that library. Finally, the air of freedom tasted sweet. He turned to the girl. You risked death for me. What is your true desire? Memories flashed like lightning. A past soaked in blood and burning embers. The screams of a dying home echoed. A young boy dragged her through the fire. Her eyes remained fixed on a blond man. Run, he commanded, standing amidst the chaos. Snapping back to reality, Riley's voice trembled. I have an ultimate goal, a burning oath. I must become the strongest. I will rewrite my fate in this world. Green sensed it immediately. The cold, unyielding flame of a vengeful soul. A single nod confirmed his suspicions. Her gaze held the weight of 1,000 wars. Intrigue sparked within the grimoire. What tragedy forged such a sharp, broken blade? Yet, some wounds are too deep to exhume. Her childhood was a labyrinth of shadows. Green sighed internally. They were bound now. But trust is built slowly. For now, silence was the kindest mercy. Let the bond forge itself in time. Riley's emerald eyes locked onto him. And you? She asked, her voice like silver. What tales does a legendary book hold? Greenmore laughed at the absurd question. Is your purpose not to train masters like me? Riley's calm logic caught him off guard. He pondered his own existence. Then, his gaze turned cold as a winter storm. Why so serious, little one? I only do this for my own amusement. Living as a book is dreadfully dull. I'm simply killing time with these lessons. He flashed a sly grin. To his surprise, the naive girl believed every word. They reached a secluded, dusty room. The weight of their journey finally settled. The academy is history. Now, what is our next move? Great Spirit. Green paused, then countered her. You have that recommendation letter, don't you? Riley nodded and pulled it out. Read it, Green commanded. I want every word. She produced a weathered envelope. It says, The Iran Test Magic Tower. Iran Test? The name meant nothing to him. No memory of such a place existed. He expected an invite from the Great Five. A legendary tower with centuries of prestige. Perhaps it rose while I was sealed away. 3 centuries is long enough for kingdoms to fall. A magic tower is a sanctuary of power. The forge where true archmages are born. The perfect political foundation for a rising star. But this unknown name. It bothered him. Where did this Iran test come from? Riley sensed his growing confusion. Great Spirit, you misunderstand. Iran test is one of the Empire's 5 legends. She opened an ancient tome to explain. This tower's history was written in blood and glory. Meet the founder and the tower's absolute master, the man who defied the heavens themselves. She pointed to a sketch of an old man. Green's heart nearly stopped at the sight. Why use a portrait from his deathbed? They should have captured his prime. Riley stared back in confusion. But this is him, at his most powerful. Riley dropped a bombshell. The man wasn't 40, he's still breathing today. 3 centuries have passed, yet he lives? Greenwood was absolutely shaken. Riley confirmed it. The legend still exists, completely shifting Greenwood's perspective. Jan Arantes was a titan, performing miracles far beyond any archmage's reach. Scholars still clash over his godlike title. Was he man or myth? He built the Magic Tower's legacy alone, but Greenwood sensed a riddle. 300 years, a mere blink for one trapped within ancient pages. Yet an eternity of reading couldn't explain this twisted imperial shift. A dark mystery lurked. He scanned the book for the hidden truth. The text was chilling. Jan Arantes had mastered the peak of immortality. His century-old desire was finally fulfilled, leaving Greenwood paralyzed in silence. Time blurred as their vessel finally reached the Empire's golden capital. Riley cheered wildly. Is this your first time here? Jam asked. It's my first time arriving in peace since the guild tragedy, she replied. Riley immediately grabbed a unicorn skewer, a legendary island delicacy. Her eyes sparkled with joy while staring at the glistening meat. The capital is incredible. They even eat mythical beasts, she exclaimed. Greenwood sighed. It's just lamb, Riley. The truth hit like a spell. She froze, heartbroken. I truly believed it was a real unicorn. Greenwood stared in disbelief. Was she serious? Her reaction was absurd. I've been scammed. I want a refund, she wailed while eating. Soon, they stood before Nam Foro, looming majestically over the square. Those are the 5 legendary mages, Riley whispered with deep reverence. Heaven-blessed geniuses. Their hearts burned with an eternal, magical flame. Greenwood let out a mocking sneer. Talent is just an excuse for weaklings. Only fools surrender to fate. True power is carved from pure will. He remembered his path. He was a weapon built for ultimate vengeance. He'd reached the peak to crush the bastard who turned him into paper. His past disciples suffered immensely. Mata tried everything to revive him. Mata had no students. This proved 𝒂𝒈𝒆 was a lying fraud. Rage flared. Greenwood vowed to march on the tower for his students. He reached out to Riley, their eyes meeting with shared resolve. They fist-bumped, a blood oath to bring 𝒂𝒈𝒆 to his knees. Their fates intertwined. A legendary saga of revenge officially began today. The clock turned back to when Greenwood first became a book. 5 years had passed when a street urchin named Fendo found him. Fendo snatched him from the ruins and gave him his name. Greenwood, a title from ancient, forbidden grimoires Riley once mentioned. Is that true, he asked. Riley said magic book was enough. But Fendo laughed, preferring Greenwood. He was the spark of hope. To repay him, Greenwood began training his very first disciple. Am I doing it right? Fendo asked, feeling absolutely nothing. Be patient, Greenwood commanded. Suddenly, energy began to sting the boy. Focus it in your core. But Fendo's face twisted in agony. It burns, the boy screamed. Greenwood watched the path to power hurts. Endure it. To master the ultimate forbidden arts, you must transcend your limits. Greenwood urged his student. But Fendo's body reached its breaking point. His mana circuit screamed as raw power surged uncontrollably through his veins. Agony tore through his soul as the mana went berserk. Greenwood realized too late the situation was spiraling into chaos. Before he could intervene, a massive mana backlash struck. Fendo coughed up crimson blood and collapsed in total defeat. Fast forward to today. Greenwood and Riley are traveling toward the unknown, shadows of the past lingering behind them. When Greenwood called her name, Riley slipped up. She glared at the driver, realizing her fatal mistake. Normal humans couldn't see Greenwood. Only she could hear the phantom voice of the legendary master within her soul. Bound by a mystical contract, their minds were now intertwined. Even the slightest thought could be felt between the two. This mental link was a divine blessing. Riley used telepathy to whisper her doubts to the ancient spirit beside her. Her voice echoed with curiosity. Master, why didn't you teach me these fundamental secrets much earlier in our journey? Greenwood smirked, thinking her secret whispering was adorable. But he knew such a comment would ignite her fierce temper. If he spoke his mind, she'd surely explode. He decided that maintaining a strategic silence was his safest bet tonight. Unfortunately, Riley saw right through him. Through their bond, every stray thought and emotion was laid bare for her eyes. She glared with murderous intent, leaving the legendary Greenwood blushing and turning away in sheer, awkward embarrassment. Shifting focus, Greenwood turned serious. The Iran Magic Tower, one of the 5 great SSS rank sanctuaries, awaited. This was no mere school. Their entrance exam was designed to weed out the weak from the truly monstrous. Riley tilted her head, confused. Greenwood explained that the great towers have no interest in mere talented candidates. They demand perfected monsters mages with overwhelming authority. Only the elite of the elite are even considered for admission. In a heavily fortified domain, Riley must prove her worth. She must shine brighter than any noble or genius rival. Ordinary mages spend their entire lives preparing for this hellish trial. Her power must exceed all known logic and limits. This place is feared as the graveyard of geniuses. Many enter with pride, but only true legends ever walk out. Shock washed over Riley's face. To face this trial now seemed like a death sentence even for a gifted girl. Wait, you expect me to reach high-tier mastery in just 6 months? That's completely impossible, even for a genius. Greenwood chuckled. With my guidance, the word impossible doesn't exist. You will reach the peak of magical supremacy. Time blurred into a whirlwind of training. Soon, their carriage arrived at a desolate land swallowed by ancient dark shadows. The driver trembled. Are we in the right place? This forest feels cursed, as if life itself is forbidden here. Magic hung thick in the air like a heavy shroud. This is it, Greenwood confirmed. Drop us off right here. The driver couldn't hear the ghost, yet he obeyed a subconscious command. Riley stepped out into the biting, magical chill. This was her hellish training ground for the next 6 months. It was also the lair of a former disciple. Riley was stunned. If he was your student 3 centuries ago, surely he must be dead by now, right? Greenwood's laughter echoed through the trees. He isn't alive, but he isn't exactly dead either. He's something much more. His cryptic words left her baffled. Seeing her confusion, he revealed the dark truth of his former pupil's forbidden transformation. One of his students had transcended humanity to become a lich. Only an archmage could achieve such an eternal state. But where was he? The forest was a labyrinth of twisted wood. Riley's eyes scanned the haunting, silent darkness. Greenwood shrugged. Consider this your first trial. You must find him yourself, or your journey ends here, child. What do you mean by a test? Riley asked. Simple. If you can't even find him, you're unworthy of magic. Challenge accepted. Riley immediately unleashed her mana-sensing skills, searching for any trace of the hidden undead presence lurking nearby. Her training had officially begun. She reached out with her senses, trying to pierce through the heavy layers of concealment. But the forest was a trap. Complex magic circles interfered with her vision, creating a chaotic storm of false signals. Everything here is designed to deceive. Riley grumbled as the illusions began to warp the very air around her. Behind her, Greenwar watched with a knowing smile. He had seen countless geniuses break under these very same spells. Invisible barriers and sensory-distorting charms twisted reality itself. Deep in the shadows, a pair of ancient eyes watched her. The Lich observed her golden eyes with icy amusement. Even high-tier mages usually take half a year to find him. How could a mere academy student hope to uncover his lair so easily? He scoffed at her seemingly arrogant pride. But the monster had miscalculated. Riley possessed a godlike compatibility with mana that would soon shatter all his expectations. Found you at last, Riley declared, his piercing gaze rattling the ancient bones before him. How is this possible? The skeleton stammered, frantically trying to regain its cool, menacing persona. Pardon me, my voice cracked. But seriously, how did you track me down so effortlessly? The previous record was 4 months. Yet Riley shattered that limit in mere minutes. Such a feat required a god-tier level of mana sensitivity that defied all human logic. Did you actually reverse trace my concealment magic? The Lich asked, trembling in sheer disbelief. Riley simply nodded. You truly are a monster, the skeleton whispered, leading them into the lair. Inside, bizarre chimeras and a sleeping 3-headed hound guarded the dark, winding corridors. His twisted tastes haven't changed one bit, Greenwar muttered, stepping deeper into the shadows. Welcome to my humble sanctuary, the skeleton chirped, leading them toward the private tea room. Despite the hospitality, the Lich's suffocating aura of death made Riley's skin crawl with unease. Sensing the boy's distress, Greenwar ordered the skeleton to suppress his lethal, overwhelming presence. My apologies. I've been isolated for so long. I forgot how to control my impact. He clapped his hands, desperately trying to dampen the thick miasma of forbidden dark energy. They were all outcasts beings who had defied the heavens and earned a divine, eternal curse. As a creature born of the abyss, the skeleton was a walking blasphemy against death itself. Feeling better? The Lich asked, while Greenwar tested Riley's keen powers of observation. I see now, Riley whispered. The essence of an undead is pure, forbidden black magic. In the Empire, necromancy was a supreme sin, punishable by the total annihilation of one's soul. Shadow guilds and dark mages traded in illegal remains, fueling this hidden, nightmare industry. The terrifying Holy Inquisition was formed specifically to purge such evil from the world forever. Putting business aside, Greenwar asked his old friend how he'd spent the lonely centuries. It's been 200 years since I became this thing. The skeleton sighed quite casually. 200? I was worried since you haven't visited me in nearly 3 centuries. I've been busy mastering the arts of death and perfecting ancient, soul-binding forbidden curses. Occasionally, I met your other students. Time truly flies when you are already dead. Though 5 years ago, a group of arrogant adventurers tried to raid my private sanctuary, Green's eyes narrowed. They actually managed to find this hidden realm? But how? Pure luck. They mistook my dark sanctuary for a treasure-filled dungeon and attacked immediately. The skeleton sipped his tea, but the liquid just poured straight through his dry, empty ribs. You're leaking everywhere, Green pointed out, curious about the final fate of those intruders. I was short-staffed, so I simply recruited them. They are still serving me even today. He gestured to a silent, armored skeleton. Meet Joy, my loyal and trusted right-hand man. Joy poured tea for Riley. Thank you, she started, then froze in sudden, absolute terror. That wasn't just a skeleton, it was a Death Knight, a legendary bringer of apocalyptic ruin. Are you insane? How does a mediocre adventurer become a high-ranking Death Knight? Riley noticed the golden lion crest on the sword hilt, the mark of absolute imperial authority. This is the commander of the Inquisition who vanished 5 years ago. Everyone's still searching. Green exploded in rage at the skeleton's carelessness. You absolute, brainless bag of old bones. Haha, I had no idea. I just recycled whoever was rude enough to break in. Greenwar sighed deeply, while the skeleton finally regained his serious, lich-like, deathly composure. But why bring a mere academy student to a place as dangerous as this tomb? Green looked at Riley with pride. Because he's different. Remember the last one? Martha? Ah, the silver-haired girl, the Lich recalled. Green nodded with a grim, heavy expression. There is something you need to know about her, and a fraud who has returned. Mada's disciple seeks blood-soaked vengeance. Why choose this convoluted path? Infiltrating the academy begins now. Target the elite magic towers. Efficiency is the ultimate weapon. Internal destruction tastes much sweeter. A psychotic, blood-red smile widens. Truly a monster in skin. Jelly. This path spells death. Her eyes ignite with ambition. Enter the forbidden training zone. Ancient mana surges beneath her. We bent time for you. Genius alone won't suffice here. 2 years of hell begin. Your hidden advantages are clear. Physical prowess meets raw mana. Awaken the forbidden dispel art. Erase their magic into nothingness. The ultimate counter-strike strategy. Spells dissolve before your gaze. Shock the noble world soon. Negate mana, then strike hard. SSS rank dominance is your destiny. Is this even fair play? Victory demands a ruthless heart. Training flares with lethal intent. I don't know the theory. High-rank magic for a slave? Survival is the only teacher. Beaten and broken on ground. Pain awakens your true bloodline. She only chooses to flee. Is my teaching method flawed? Pride masks her hidden scars. Failure is her greatest nightmare. Trapped by ghosts of past. Paralyzed by the fear of defeat. I just hate the pain. My deep theories were useless. Regroup to refine your strike. Forget logic. Trust your instinct. Shatter the enemy's magic formulas. No more complex excuses now. Focus your mind like steel. The shock has passed. Focus. He began the calming ritual. A secret magic to stabilize Riley's chaotic mana flow. She reached for the orb, but a violent power repelled her. I've learned pathfinding and resonance. Is there more, Master? Greenwar watched silently. Should I combine them? She asked. He nodded without a word. Riley realized this was her path. No more questions. She remembered, don't follow the weak's rules. You are far more brilliant. Find your own secret technique. Determination flared. She touched the orb with both hands. This magic is a labyrinth. She activated pathfinding to probe, recalling the Renel underground and the Lich's dark fortress. I must decipher the formula, in total, absolute secrecy. Like using resonance for a private, silent whisper. Time blurred. Suddenly, a spark of enlightenment struck. The orb vanished into thin air. Greenwar patted her shoulder. Well done, you've succeeded. Riley looked at her, shaking hands. How long? 4 hours, Greenwar replied calmly. She sighed. Only 1 hour. In the real world, then? No. 4 hours in reality. 16 hours in this mental space. Her joy vanished instantly. Time flows so cruelly, she sighed. It will only accelerate. I'll just work harder, she smiled. Autumn arrived. The Great Tower entrance exams were finally here. Riley perfected her art, a flawless magic erasure technique. 6 months felt like years. Rena laughed at the progress. Riley stood in disbelief. Behind her, the Lich approached. You worked hard. I'll prepare a grand feast. Suddenly, a secret document fell from the Lich's robes. What is this? Greenwar asked, eyes narrowing. The supreme plan for undead world domination. They froze. Greenwar glared with burning, furious eyes. Plotting world conquest? While I'm still standing here? The Lich panicked. I thought I burned that. Trapped, he finally confessed. I only wanted one small city, a tiny eastern kingdom. Can't an undead have dreams? Good grief, Green groaned. This lunatic is a disaster. Wait, has he done something already? Riley asked suspiciously. I haven't done anything. Yet. The Lich winked with no eyelids. Truly a mysterious skull. Meanwhile, in the frozen north, a girl with violet eyes walked alone through the snow. Look at those expensive clothes, a bandit whispered from shadows. The leader smirked. So naive. Walking alone here, he aimed his bow. Die. The arrow flew true. A high-value target indeed, the bandit leader sneered, his eyes gleaming with greedy delight. He watched her innocent, defenseless stride, a lone girl walking straight into a predator's den. Pulling his bowstring tight, he whispered, Die, and released a lethal, whistling arrow. The girl in red fell, an arrow piercing her chest. Blood stained the snow instantly. The bandits felt no remorse. Incredible shot, boss, one shouted, praising their cold-blooded leader. They scavenged her body, greedily snatching up piles of gold and hidden treasures. The leader's voice shook with excitement. Dungeons have nothing on this. What a lucky haul, haha. His face flushed with greedy joy, until a terrified subordinate pointed a trembling finger forward. Boss, look behind you. There stood the girl, watching them calmly as if nothing had happened. Her fatal wound had completely vanished. The leader's eyes filled with pure, soul-shaking terror. "Is she a ghost?" he stammered. Suddenly, the stolen loot and her corpse evaporated into thin air. Experience kicked in as the leader realized the truth. "Damn it, she's a high-level mage. Draw your steel, now," he roared to his men. "We have the advantage in numbers." Despite their fear, the bandits gripped their weapons tight, facing the mysterious girl's overwhelming presence. "She's just a sheltered noble girl," he barked. Suddenly, a silver flash sliced through the air. Both of the leader's hands were severed instantly. As he screamed, the mage stepped toward him. She lifted his chin with one cold finger. Crossing a mage demands a heavy price, doesn't it? Justice was absolute. Hours later, a passing caravan discovered the bandits' bodies littering the ground. Witnessing the gruesome scene, a white-haired elder sighed heavily. This was the work of a master. A mage did this, he deduced. A brief, violent encounter occurred right here on this path. This happened 5 hours ago, he noted. It wasn't a battle, it was a one-sided slaughter. He used his staff to inspect the leader's eyes, confirming the exact moment of their demise. "What are our orders, sir?" a man asked. "Ignore it," the elder replied. "We keep moving. We'll report this to the city guards. As long as I'm here, you're all safe." The driver breathed a sigh of relief as the powerful elder returned to his carriage. Inside, the elder looked at Riley. "Youngster, what business does a child have in Guam?" Riley didn't hide her ambition. "I'm here for the selection exam of the 5 Great Towers." The elder went silent before warning her. "That is a suicide mission." "Did you see the massacre? The exam attracts monsters. Many lunatics use it as a legal excuse to commit murder. You need survival skills to protect yourself. Don't throw away your life so carelessly, child. Being a low-rank mage at your age is impressive, but the tower is a living nightmare. Why not study at a normal academy in Guam instead?" "The selection is far too cruel." Riley remained unfazed by his warning. "I appreciate the advice, but my mind is already set." Her resolute voice left the elder speechless. He could only sigh at her stubborn determination. Another talented soul destined for tragedy, he thought, mourning her fate in advance. "That old man is quite a talker," Greenwood whispered. Riley could only silently agree. They finally reached Gintham, the heart of magic, where massive crowds filled the bustling streets. Riley's eyes gleamed with wonder. Incredible. "I've never seen a city this advanced before." Gintham was a frozen tech hub, where magic and machinery evolved amidst the eternal falling snow. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the block. "What now?" someone screamed in the chaos. "It's just Roy's experiment failing again," another shouted. Greenwood chuckled at the familiar madness. "Do you know the way?" Greenwood asked. Riley stared intensely at the confusing map. "The city has changed too much," Greenwood grumbled. "I don't recognize any of these streets anymore. Why isn't the exam hall listed?" Riley immediately activated her mana pulse to scan the area. Her mana expanded in all directions, instantly flagging several suspicious locations within the city. "I've found 10 potential offices," she explained. "All are restricted and hidden from the public. They're likely hidden academy branches or high-security research labs," Riley noted calmly. Greenwood's eyes widened in shock. "If I knew you were this skilled, I'd have ditched that elder. I should have endured that mage's nagging and stayed close. This sacred book is proving to be completely unreliable. Honestly, who could have guessed that GAM would change this drastically in over 300 years? Green sighed, asking if she expected time to stand still. Their bickering was suddenly interrupted by a strange voice. A man called out, diverting their attention. "Greetings. Are you two perhaps newcomers to this bustling city?" Riley scanned the chubby man before her. She sensed a faint, unstable, magical energy swirling around his body. "Just a novice mage," she noted. The man flashed a friendly smile, trying to appear helpful and welcoming. "Newcomers often struggle to find the office. Standard navigation spells are useless here due to lingering magical residue." He explained calmly that ancient research experiments had distorted the local mana. "Is there another way to find it?" "You could ask a kind soul for help," he said, pointing at himself. Riley didn't agree immediately. She whispered to Greenwar for advice. "Do whatever you want," Green shrugged, leaving the decision to her. Since her own spells were hitting too many targets, Riley decided to follow. "Lead the way then." "Of course, where is a little lady like you headed?" Riley stated her goal, the entrance exam office. He acted impressed. "So you're here for the exam? It's rare to see someone so young and brave. I had to wait much longer for such courage." "Since it's your first time, let me explain this city. GAM is divided into many districts. Do you see?" Riley nodded dismissively while the man prattled on. He kept talking about the Alliance and the middle-tier magic towers. He seemed to love his own voice. Suddenly, Riley stopped walking and cut him off. "Excuse me, but how much longer until we actually arrive? To the registration hall? It will take about 15 minutes from here," he replied with a smug grin. Riley's eyes turned cold. "No, I mean the spell. How much longer will you keep casting on me?" The man's friendly mask shattered instantly. His expression twisted into something sinister as he glared at the girl. "How did you notice?" Riley answered calmly. "From the moment we met, your tone and words felt wrong. You were weaving magic into your voice to manipulate me. That was an incantation spell, wasn't it? It is the first step of deceptive magic." She smiled as the man began to laugh like a maniac. "Huh, you knew all along and still followed me?" He couldn't contain his twisted joy at her supposed folly. "Yes, I did," Riley replied casually. Her lack of fear left the villain feeling momentarily confused and frustrated. Green realized the spell was meant to paralyze her. If successful, Riley would have been sold as a slave. She would have become a test subject for dark mages. This was a common tragedy for youths in 𝒂𝒏. Human traffickers thrived in these shadows. But Riley had followed him only because he seemed like easy prey. "Who would think a brat like you could be dangerous?" He spat, his ego bruised by her arrogance. Riley's natural confidence provoked him further. The villain's face flushed with a surge of uncontrollable, murderous rage. "You've become far too arrogant just for reaching a low rank. Today, I'll teach you a very painful lesson. Even at the same rank, the gap between us is massive. You don't realize our skills are worlds apart. The difference is like heaven and earth," he roared. Riley simply agreed, though not in the way he expected. "Indeed, I am the heaven and you are the dirt." The man ignored her, lost in his delusions. "You're my 13th victim. Everyone falls for my charming smile and handsome face," he boasted with total confidence. "I have a face that makes women weep," he claimed. Green and Riley stood there, speechless at his insanity. Does this man even own a mirror? Green gave him the middle finger in total disgust and disbelief. Riley remarked sarcastically that women probably cry from horror every night. His face turned purple with fury. "You little brat," he screamed, channeling mana to create a blazing spear of fire in his hand. Green noted that his control was decent for a bottom-tier mage. The fire spear flew straight at Riley. "Die!" he bellowed. But Riley remained perfectly still as the lethal magic hurtled toward her small frame. Just before impact, she activated thought acceleration. Her mind, trained by the undead, surpassed all human limits. Time slowed to a crawl. Riley's brain worked at an impossible speed, allowing her to analyze the spell's structure. After seeing through the flow of his mana, she didn't dodge. Riley instantly dispelled the magic with ease. The flaming spear vanished into nothingness. The villain's eyes widened in pure, unadulterated terror as his power failed. With a flick of her wrist, the attack vanished. The fat noble stood frozen, eyes wide in absolute disbelief. "What kind of sorcery is this?" he stammered. Riley smirked. "Didn't you mention the gap between heaven and earth?" Riley concentrated, a terrifying sphere of mana forming in her palm. Greenwar watched, his mind racing in shock. Her magic lacked cheap tricks. It was pure, raw power, a condensed mass of destruction that defied all logic. Before he could react, she unleashed the orb. It moved at a speed that shattered the very air. The impact sent the man flying, blood spraying as he crashed. "Thanks for the lesson," Riley whispered coldly. "Here's a tip. Mastery isn't everything. In a real fight, raw talent dictates who lives and who dies." She stopped mid-sentence. "Wait, is he dead already?" Greenwar's eyes bulged as he realized the situation. "Did you just kill a candidate?" he screamed. Riley shrugged. "I didn't mean to start trouble, but he's gone. Wake up, we need combat experience, not a corpse." It was a disastrous end to their first encounter. Despite his desperate pleas, the man remained lifeless. Their training session had turned into a total accidental execution. Night fell as they searched for the office. They were forced to navigate the maze-like city streets alone. After visiting 9 locations, the final building stood before them. This was the elusive management headquarters at last. Riley sighed, annoyed by their terrible luck. Even Greenwar's high-level pathfinding magic had failed to locate it. It was bizarre. No one knew the location. Only after checking every single building did the truth emerge. Greenwar finally spotted the sign for the LW magic exam. Something felt deeply wrong about this entire setup. The sign was clearly visible now, yet they hadn't noticed it before. Riley realized the map was a lie. Hidden from magic and maps alike, the office was a ghost. Suddenly, Greenwar had a brilliant realization. "Riley, can you recall every building we visited today?" he asked. She nodded, pulling out her marked map. "I've tracked them all. she said. Greenwar urged her to mark their current final position immediately. As she drew the final line, her eyes widened. An inverted star. It's a massive, city-scale magic circle. The administrators had turned the entire city into a trap. These buildings were anchors for a grand illusion. Positioned perfectly, they activated a barrier that scrambled the senses of every aspiring mage entering the gates. Finding this place was the real first test. Greenwar smirked, realizing the depth of the Academy's schemes. Riley was still confused. Why go through all this trouble? To weed out the weak, he replied grimly. They pushed the doors open, entering a pristine white hall. A mysterious red-haired woman stood waiting for them. She offered a welcoming smile. Congratulations on passing the first stage. Few make it this far so quickly. The beauty branded Riley's hand with a glowing star. This seal proves you are a worthy candidate, she explained. With this mark, the city is yours. All facilities are now at your disposal for free, she added. The next trial begins in 7 days. Rest well until then. Here is your VIP pass for the city. She tossed a handful of cards to Riley with a playful wink, waving them off into the night. Leaving the office, Riley contacted Greenwar. That was almost too easy. Was that really the whole exam? Walking to 10 buildings was tiring, but nothing special. She had no idea how much she'd outperformed everyone. Greenwar chuckled. He didn't tell her that her pathfinding skills were bordering on monstrous SSS rank levels. Most mages would wander for days, lost in the city's illusions. For Riley, the barrier was practically invisible. The administrative offices were a gauntlet. The red-haired woman's words echoed in Greenwar's mind. It was a trap. The main office only reveals itself once the hidden sequence is unlocked. It was a masterpiece of concealment. Candidates usually struggle through countless obstacles just to find the door. Riley had simply walked right in. For others, this was a living nightmare. But to a girl with her hidden lineage, it was child's play. The map was useless, so I just followed the mana, she muttered, completely unaware of her genius. Before they left, the woman gave one final warning. Avoid conflict with other candidates. Things will get violent. Riley nodded, though the concept of danger from these nobles felt laughable. She turned to her master. Greenwar wasn't surprised by the warning. He knew the true nature of these elite academy hopefuls. There are always fools, he explained calmly. Arrogant nobles who hunt down the weak to prove their worth. They use these streets as a hunting ground to eliminate rivals before the real test even begins. These rules exist to stop troublemakers, but Riley didn't care for politics. Green aside, warning or not, some monsters only live for the thrill of battle. Suddenly, a chillingly familiar aura froze Riley in her tracks. Master Grimoire, she whispered. I know, Green replied, sensing that same jagged energy cutting through the air. It was the same stench of death from the corpses. The killer was close. Track that bloodlust, Green commanded. In a heartbeat. Riley closed her eyes to focus. She channeled her mana, activating a high-tier tracking spell to hunt her prey. Filtering out the physical world, she saw only the flow of raw, lethal energy. There, she locked onto the target's location, right behind her. What now? Green didn't order an attack. Instead, he asked, Can you actually defeat her? Of course, Riley smirked. Wait, stay on full defense, Green warned sternly. Suddenly, a massive sphere of mana blasted toward her. Death was closing in fast. Riley's mind raced, processing 1,000 survival scenarios in a single microsecond. Too fast. Dodging is impossible. It will pierce my skull before I can blink. I must sacrifice my mana for a shield, even if it only buys a second. I'll bait her with defense, then strike back with a hidden magic bullet. But horror washed over Riley. There was no time. Her calculation had failed. The orb shattered her barriers instantly, plunging straight toward her forehead. She waited for the end, but the projectile vanished, flickering away like a ghost. Confusion filled Riley's eyes, then a mysterious figure stepped out from the shadows. Relax, it was just a mental duel, a high-level simulation of your doom. A battle of pure intent, where every reflex and fear is laid bare. Did you see your own death? The stranger asked with a twisted, playful smile. On her hand, an inverted star glowed. She was a candidate for the academy. This girl ignored every rule. Green felt a cold sweat for Riley's safety. This wasn't a student. She was a cold-blooded predator. Riley, watch your back. Normal mages don't move like that. She uses magic only to harvest lives. Time skipped. The scene shifted from a battlefield to a lavish restaurant. Somehow, Riley was now dining happily with the psycho girl. Is it tasty? Delicious. Riley nodded. This is the elite spot for the 5 magic towers. Even the legendary masters eat here. Riley, the low-ranked mage, was impressed. Don't hold back. Big sister is paying for everything, the girl laughed. Really? Riley's eyes sparkled. mesmerized by the girl's sudden radiant charm. "I was a bit rude earlier, so this is my apology," Becky declared confidently. "Master Grimoire, I like her," Riley whispered. "I told you not to get close." "Anyone who buys me good food can't be evil," Riley argued stubbornly. Green rolled his eyes. "Is it really that life-changing?" Riley nodded. Memories of the Lich's base flooded back, eating trash in a rotting, damp cave. "The undead worked hard to cook for you, balancing nutrients with rare herbs. Doesn't matter if it tasted like dirt," Riley complained with a pout. "You're too picky." Green laughed, before glaring at the dangerous girl beside them. This manic killer was a ticking time bomb. "My name is Rebecca Duncan." "Nice to meet you, Riley," Rebecca said, flashing a bright, innocent smile. "Thank you for the meal," Riley said politely. Rebecca turned, beaming with joy. "I'm just glad you enjoyed it." Meanwhile, Green began analyzing her every move. Meet Rebecca Duncan. At 27, she is already nearing the mid-tier mage rank and has arrived in Gwynham for the trials. Suddenly, she drops a bombshell. "No need for thanks," she chirps, revealing that everything in this establishment is completely free. Her playful grin leaves Riley stunned as she explains the hidden perks. "You've heard of the elite managers, haven't you? Certain facilities are free if you possess the right crest. This restaurant just happens to be one of those exclusive spots." "Riley, you're more naive than I thought. Look at that stunned face." She laughs, playfully apologizing for the little prank. Green avoids eye contact, while the young girl struggles to process the situation. Riley's blank stare signals her growing irritation. Brushing the tension aside, Rebecca claps Riley's shoulder. "So, what's the plan? Have you secured a place to stay yet?" "I'll just head to the first location on my list," Riley replies bluntly. Rebecca immediately warns that such a plan is reckless. Although the magic towers audit these inns, the quality gap is massive. "Give me your map and that list right now." Rebecca quickly points out the prime spots. "This one is perfect." The Skyview Inn is the ultimate place to rest. It offers total silence, perfect soundproofing, and the city's finest cuisine. She continues rambling about the best local cafes. Minutes later, the map is covered in ideal locations. Their eyes meet, gleaming with a strange competitive intensity. "Aren't you coming along?" Riley asks. Rebecca explains she'll be staying with an old acquaintance for a while. "Want to join me there?" she teases. Riley's cold refusal is instant. Even Green is shocked by such a brutal rejection. Green watches Rebecca closely, wondering if her kindness is genuine. With millennia of experience, he senses a hidden sincerity. If Riley had actually agreed, Rebecca truly would have taken her along. Riley, sensing something odd, telepathically questions Green. "She seems overly obsessed with me. Why?" Green simply shakes his head. "How should I know what a lunatic thinks? However, if I had to guess, she's likely captivated by your potential. A mere low-level mage clearing the first trial? She is curious about the hidden talent that allowed such a feat." As these thoughts swirl, Riley glares at Green. "You're talking quite a bit for someone who doesn't know," she retorts. Green quickly tries to deflect her suspicion. "It was just a hunch. There's a saying that monsters recognize their own kind. After all." "Are you calling me a monster?" Riley raises an eyebrow. Green just shrugs, leaving the question hanging in the air. As they bicker, Rebecca turns to leave. "Get some rest, Riley. I'll see you at the next stage of the exam." Her bright smile masks a terrifying truth. Green can't believe such a cheerful woman is actually a cold-blooded extremist. She radiated killing intent from the start, and once slaughtered a pack of bandits without blinking. She is a true maniac. The less you know about an opponent, the deadlier they become. Green reminds his disciple to stay on guard. "Say something to bid her farewell," Green suggests. Riley speaks up. "Goodbye. See you at the next trial. And when we meet again, I hope for a real fight. Stop using petty illusion magic to mess with me." "Illusion magic?" Rebecca asks, her eyes widening in surprise. Riley nods firmly. "That's right. During our first encounter, I nearly felt the sting of death in a mental battle. While such battles are real, yours was just an illusion." Rebecca's playful mask shatters instantly. Her expression shifts into something unrecognizable as the truth comes to light. "Incredible," she mutters. "How on earth did you realize?" She explains that only high-rank mages should notice such subtleties. Green whispers from the shadows that since ancient times, absolute certainty has been the only way to pierce illusions. "I am certain," Riley declares. "There is no way I'd die at the hands of an incompetent mage like you. If that were a real mental realm, I would have crushed you without breaking a sweat. It was too easy. Since reality didn't match that outcome, I knew it was a fake. Every mage has pride, and I have mine. Calling a superior incompetent to their face is the ultimate insult. No mage would ever let that slide in silence. Rebecca suddenly bursts into laughter, tossing her head back. Hey kid, did you really just say that? Her face contorts with a terrifying intensity. You think you could win against me so easily? You're delusional. Riley remains unshaken, her confidence absolute. Rebecca's fury turns into a chilling, mocking cackle of disbelief. Win? Unbelievable. You couldn't possibly defeat me. Wake up and look at the reality of our ranks. I am standing at the threshold of the high tier, while you are nothing but a bottom-ranked novice. Even Green acknowledges the truth. Mana capacity, control precision, and casting speed all skyrocket with every new rank. The gap between levels is a chasm that cannot be crossed. Each stage represents a completely different world of power. Standing in that dim alleyway in Wyndham, the distance between them feels like an insurmountable, looming mountain. In this world, the gap in magic ranks was an absolute, unbreakable law of nature. But Riley simply smiled. I've heard that before, she whispered, stepping into the fray. The last person who said that is rotting in a ditch with a hole in his chest. Riley was a master of defying the odds, having crushed foes far beyond her level. From undead legions to ancient dragons, she had survived horrors that would freeze a hero's blood. Rebecca burst into mocking laughter. Such arrogance. I should kill you right where you stand. Give it your best shot, Riley countered, but Rebecca merely scoffed at the girl's boldness. You're trying to bait me, you little brat. I won't get disqualified just for your sake. Run away then, coward. Riley provoked, causing Rebecca's composure to finally fracture in rage. See you at the exam, you interesting little monster. I haven't met someone this crazy in years. Riley waved dismissively. Thanks for the intel. Try not to die before the real fun begins. With a mocking grin, Rebecca's form suddenly flickered and vanished into thin air like mist. Riley froze in shock. It was a mere clone? The real body was nowhere near here. An advanced phantom technique. Such refined mana shouldn't exist in a normal human vessel. Only someone with Riley's god-tier mana sensitivity could have sensed the subtle distortion in reality. Riley realized the truth. Rebecca wasn't just testing her. She was playing a dangerous game. The woman wanted to see Riley's face the moment she realized she was fighting a shadow. To some, the thrill of almost being caught is more intoxicating than the victory itself. How amusing, Riley muttered, her eyes sparking with a predatory excitement for the upcoming challenge. The protagonist simply clapped his hands, impressed by her fearless and wild fighting spirit. What a free soul, he chuckled. Riley just laughed, her hidden grimoire pulsing with ancient power. Meanwhile, in a hidden sanctum, a mysterious man reviewed the list of successful academy candidates. Just as predicted, this year's crop of monsters is far more interesting than usual. How far along are you? A woman asked. Just reached the second son of Stingwood. Ah, memories of the mansion, she giggled, while he nodded slowly at the boy's progress. To think that little brat is actually participating in the selection exam now. Time flies. The red-haired guide smirked. Forget the past. Turn the page, the real anomaly is right here. Intrigued, the man adjusted his glasses and scanned the profile of the next candidate, Riley. A student from Rennell, Miss A, he muttered, skepticism clouding his face as he read her history. She's a complete newcomer. Arrogant, too typical of those Rennell commoners who dream too big. He frowned. It probably took her an eternity just to pass the first simple gate test. I bet she wandered aimlessly for months before stumbling upon the office, the woman added, sighing. She likely barely scraped by with a passing grade, didn't she? The man asked dismissively. Actually, she arrived this afternoon. It took her less than half a day to find us. The man froze. The previous record was 4 hours, and that was by using 20 clones. It takes the average genius at least a full week to navigate those enchanted administrative halls. Even high-ranking noble specialists like Edwan took an entire day to solve that spatial puzzle. This means Riley isn't just passing, she is currently holding the #1 rank. Impossible! This girl is a monster, the man exclaimed, his eyes widening in pure disbelief. Oblivious to the shock she caused, Riley turned to her mentor, Green, with a lazy grin. We have a week until the next test. Let's just eat and sleep until then. Green sighed in agreement as Riley began her life of leisure, ignoring the gathering storm. Riley's slave bloodline boiled with restlessness. 3 days of peaceful rest felt like a suffocating prison sentence. I'm dying of boredom, she groaned. Green War, sensing her chaotic mana, shared her growing impatience. Shall we hunt? He smirked. Riley eagerly agreed, ready to unleash the hidden power within her. A fresh look for a fresh start. You look radiant, the clerk beamed. Even Green War nodded in approval. Our pockets were lined with Rennell Mid's gold. While strolling, a massive crowd caught Riley's eye. A grand landmark loomed ahead. "That is the Arcadia Central Library," Green explained, staring at the ancient monolith. For centuries, it stood the world's second-largest vault of forbidden and legendary magical lore. Riley beamed with excitement, but Green hesitated as dark memories of libraries resurfaced. "Candidates have free access," he muttered. There was no turning back for them now. Riley's sparkling, hopeful eyes made it impossible for her master to refuse the girl's wish. Arcadia promised legendary spells, yet Green's heart sank at the familiar scent of old parchment. 3 centuries trapped in a dusty tomb. The trauma still haunted his immortal soul. "Master, you can't run forever," Riley nudged, her voice full of gentle, mocking wisdom. He sighed. In this era, ancient scrolls were the only path to reaching ultimate power. It was time to shatter his mental chains. "Fine. Let's head inside then. Close your eyes. We leave if it's too much," he commanded as they stepped forward. Inside, the sheer majesty took Riley's breath away. The air itself felt alive and buzzing. Unlike the suffocating walls of Renelmid, this place breathed with a serene, magical grace. "Is this the legendary HWW?" Riley asked, baffled by the structure's divine resemblance. "Something like that," Green replied, flashing a high-tier platinum access pass to her. "With this, the entire library is ours." "Where to first, my curious student?" Her eyes burned with hidden ambition. "The Forbidden Zone, where the real secrets sleep." Green grinned. Standard books were mere toys. The Forbidden section held the keys to divinity. She gripped a tome on great heroes and the mystery of the legendary Second Awakening. "Let's find a spot with more light," Green suggested, scanning the vast, echoing halls. Riley pointed toward a glowing alcove. "There, that area looks perfect for us, Master." Suddenly, their path was blocked. A lone shadow sat immersed in an ancient manuscript. "Wait, someone's already there," Riley whispered, recognizing the figure from the carriage. The old mage looked up, shocked. "A mere girl, in a restricted place like this?" Riley flashed her secret sigil. The old man's eyes widened in pure, unfiltered disbelief. "You survived the first trial? Despite that pathetic lack of innate mana?" he gasped. Green scoffed. This persistent old fool was becoming quite the annoyance today. "Give up, child," the elder warned. "The next stage is a literal, heartless bloodbath. When the scent of iron fills the air, this academy becomes a ruthless slaughterhouse. Talent without experience is just a death sentence. Go home while you still can." Silence descended like a heavy shroud. Riley didn't blink, her resolve hardening like steel. "I appreciate the concern," she stated coldly, "but my destiny is already set in stone." "Foolish youth and their reckless pride," the mage hissed, narrowing his eyes in judgment. Riley stood tall. "Courage isn't recklessness. It's the will to keep moving forward." Power surged from the elder. "Then let me show you the wall you face. Duel me." "A duel? Right here?" Riley questioned, feeling the sudden shift in atmospheric pressure. "I won't attack. I'll give you 3 chances to make me move a single step. If I budge even an inch, you pass. Show me your so-called courage now." A monstrous wave of mana erupted, vibrating through the very foundation of the library. Green squinted. This wasn't just any mage. The old man's aura was terrifying. Only 50 people on the continent held such power. A true, legendary high mage. "Riley, be careful," Green warned. "This man is a living disaster among mages. Land just one clean hit on the strongest, and your true talent is proven." Riley sensed his monstrous aura. "And if I fail?" she asked, voice trembling. "Then I'll personally bar you from the exam," the old man replied coldly. He pointed at her face. "I am going to get serious now, girl." Green froze. The old man's playful facade had vanished into pure killing intent. "Don't worry. I won't kill you. I'll just break your legs to stop you." His eyes held no mercy. Riley was facing a true, seasoned predator. "Why that look?" he asked. "My pride is wounded," she snapped back fiercely. "No more limits then. Let's settle this in a fair, all-out duel." Riley accepted instantly. The mage sighed, noticing a book in her pocket. "Hand me that book," he commanded. Riley realized what she was carrying. It was the chronicles of 100 legends who forged this modern empire. He flipped through the pages with a heavy, nostalgic gaze. "A fine book," he whispered. "One of the few that tells the truth." He stopped at a page and showed her. Riley's heart began to race. Number 67. Garen Edward von the Ban, the legendary Western war commander. The hero who annihilated 1,000 demons alone in the Hass Mountains. Looking at the illustration, they froze. The man stood right before them. It was a fated encounter with a living myth, a legendary war hero. Not all high mages are equal. Some are scholars, others are forged in hell. Garen was a true giant, a warrior who bloomed on the bloodiest battlefields. They looked between the book and the man, realizing the monster they challenged. "Did we just pick a fight with a god?" Riley whispered to Green. Realizing the danger, she joked, "Can I get 5 tries instead of 3? "Shameless brat," Garen barked. "Fine, but this room is too cramped to fight." Tables cluttered the hall, but for a master, space is easily manipulated. With a simple snap, a wave of mana cleared the entire hall instantly. "This is enough. Go ahead and unleash everything. My barrier will hold you." He raised an absolute seal. "Will it really hold me?" Riley challenged him. "Platinum facilities are indestructible," he chuckled. "Don't hold back, little monster." Green watched intently. This was the ultimate test of Riley's hidden potential. Against a war hero, her true limits would finally be pushed to the edge. Reaching mage rank before 20 is genius, but Riley was an absolute anomaly. Most awakened twice. First at 10, gaining basic mana and apprentice status. The second awakening happens in adulthood, when the internal mana seed finally blooms. That is when unique attributes awaken, allowing for the casting of sophisticated magic. But Riley surpassed the elite level before her second awakening even began. Without her seed blooming, she already surpassed veterans. She is a total monster. Garen saw her infinite potential and decided she must be stopped today. To save her from a mage's cruel fate, he had to crush her spirit. 3 chances, he reminded her. "If I move a single step, you win." He would show her a wall of power so vast, she would quit forever. It was a brutal act of kindness to save her from future tragedy. "Begin!" Garen roared. Riley did not hesitate, her gaze sharpening with resolve. Mana gathered in her palm. "Magic missile," she cried, firing the first strike. Garen watched the energy orb drifting toward him. "Too slow," he sneered. This was no ultimate move. It was a clumsy, basic strike. No elemental reinforcement needed. With a bored wave, he summoned a standard mana shield. "Pathetic," he mused. "If she enters the academy now, she'll be slaughtered. She's a lamb among wolves." But just as he dismissed her, a sudden, primal chill paralyzed his very soul. His palms turned icy. This wasn't just magic, it was the scent of death. "What is this?" Garen gasped. A veteran of 100 wars, trembling before a mere commoner, logic failed him. Then, a sharp crack echoed. His perfect defense began to spiderweb and shatter. His mana was evaporating. Reality hit like a physical blow. "My shield. It's being forcibly neutralized." Total annihilation. Riley's orb pierced his pride and his barrier with terrifying, silent ease. No more playing around. Garen ignited a complex magic circle, unleashing a diamond-shaped blast of pure force. He barely neutralized Riley's strike. Green War watched from the shadows, noting the High Mage's desperation. Garen's arrogance crumbled. He realized Riley's direct charge was a clever feint to lower his guard. Her confidence wasn't youthful folly. It was calculated. This girl was a hidden SSS rank monster. Garen shifted his stance, raising his guard to the limit. Riley simply gathered more destructive energy. Round 2. This time, the orb danced in a chaotic, zigzag path, defying every defensive logic. The High Mage gripped his staff, chanting a high-tier spell. He couldn't afford to slip again. The magic dissolved before his eyes. His heart raced. She had struck his structural weakness perfectly. A low-rank mage shouldn't see such flaws. Her movements were as sharp as a legendary archmage. She was dissecting a High Mage's power like a master surgeon. Her potential was truly frightening. This was pure genius, Garen sighed, realizing the gap in their ranks was becoming utterly meaningless. "I yield," he muttered. "You've passed. You are more than ready for the elite academy." He tried to end it, but Riley wasn't finished. Her eyes burned with a terrifying, silent resolve. "Wait," she whispered. "I still have 1 move left, don't I?" Another orb flickered to life. Garen froze. "Is this necessary? You've already won. You forced a High Mage to retreat." "As promised, I will not interfere further," he bowed. "Forgive my arrogance, young lady. You won." He humbled himself, but Riley just blinked innocently. "Oh, I knew the second hit worked." Garen broke into a cold sweat. "Then why? Why prepare a 3rd strike, child?" "Because you offered 3 chances," Riley replied with a mischievous glint. She wasn't backing down. Garen's mind raced. Was the first strike a bait? Was the second a test of skill? He realized the terrifying truth. She wasn't fighting for a pass. She was using him. Using a High Mage as a live training dummy? "This is madness," he screamed internally. Green War watched the aftermath, shaking his head. "Too bad." He sighed with fake, dramatic disappointment. High mages really are on another level. He teased his disciple despite her overwhelming performance. Garen, however, was still trembling. He gauged her potential and nodded in genuine, terrified awe. That technique. If you had more mana, I'd be a dead man right now. Green War stepped in as Riley gasped for air. He translated the High Mage's shocking praise. Your technique is flawless, the master smiled. You just need more fuel for your engine. He couldn't hide his pride. His disciple, an oppressed girl, had just shaken the magical world. Before the second awakening, she was limited to basics. But she had evolved beyond all limits. She mastered the art of variation, turning a simple spell into a divine weapon of destruction. Brilliant, Greenwar thought. Using cancellation to create openings is a move even masters fear. The sun set on their secret duel. The library session had come to an epic conclusion. As they packed to leave, the atmosphere shifted. The weight of their secret hung heavy. Garen cleared his throat, blushing with shame. Could we keep this duel a secret, Riley? The chibi duo smirked. They remembered the red-haired girl's warning. Avoid all conflict at costs. Playing the fool, Riley feigned total ignorance about her hidden insights until the next phase of the trial began. Revealing her secrets would spark that red-haired psycho's wrath. She claimed she merely read about it back in Acadia. Garen accepted her excuse but grew curious about her current lodgings, a question Riley answered without any hesitation. She mentioned the Whale Inn, a recommendation from a shady acquaintance, causing Garon to freeze in his tracks instantly. His eyes filled with sudden dread as he looked at Jel. Clearly, her friend was anything but a good influence. Green realized the terrifying truth. A bloodthirsty, warped maniac like Becky could never truly be a reliable ally. Ignoring Riley's confusion, Garen offered a much more prestigious sanctuary within Guam, far from that wretched, dangerous slum. With her meager belongings packed, Garen confidently promised a place 100 times superior to that rotting, old inn. Both Green and Riley watched him with deep suspicion, doubting such a grand upgrade was even possible in this city. Upon arrival, Green stood paralyzed. The massive gap between poverty and this extreme luxury was finally made clear. Welcome to Hotel Applesting. A massive banquet awaited them, served by maids in a display of pure opulence. For two souls used to the dirt, this feast was a dream that left them breathless for several seconds. Green stood in awe while Riley's blood boiled, realizing just how much Becky had played her for a fool. The realization hit her hard. Becky had lured her into a trap while such heavenly comfort actually existed nearby. Rage flared in Riley's eyes as she stood, ready to hunt down that deceptive woman for a brutal lesson. Green tried to pacify her, admitting they were naive to trust a killer, but Riley refused to take the blame. While stuffing her face, she declared it was entirely Becky's fault, her mouth full but heart set on vengeance. Green suggested she channel that fury into the upcoming selection exam, a perfect stage for her hidden magic's revenge. The thought of crushing Becky during the test brightened her mood, catching Garen's sharp, observant eye once again. She brushed off his concern as mere nerves, though her gaze hinted at a storm brewing beneath the surface. When she mentioned Becky's name again, Garen's expression hardened. The name Rebecca Duncan carried a heavy, bloody weight. Riley continued eating casually, while Garen explained the grim reality of the monstrous mage they were dealing with now. He reminded them that for some, this exam wasn't a test, it was a legal slaughterhouse for the truly depraved. Rebecca was a serial killer mage, disqualified previously for excessive murder, and even slaying an exam proctor once. She lived to suppress her madness, only unleashing her horrific bloodlust once a year during these very trials. Hearing this, Green trembled in fear. They weren't just facing a rival, but a literal mad killer on the hunt. Yet Riley didn't stop eating, her only concern being why the magic towers allowed such a monster-free reign. Why wasn't she banned at registration? Why let a known hazard walk among the innocent sheep like them? Garen went silent, revealing the dark truth. The towers used her as a cruel, living obstacle for the candidates. She was a tool to see how elites would react when faced with a legendary, high-ranking predator in combat. The question remained, how would Riley handle this nightmare when fate inevitably brought them face-to-face tomorrow? Time flew by as the sun rose, and the trio approached the massive structure marked by their magic sigils. This was the heart of the second trial, a place where many would fall and few would rise. Garen led the way while Green scanned the exterior, noting it looked like a cold, administrative fortress of power. With a determined nod, the old master stepped forward, signaling the start of the next perilous chapter together. As the door creaked open, a massive magic circle erupted beneath them, surging with overwhelming, ancient arcane pressure. Riley's eyes narrowed as the light intensified. Green recognized the sensation of high-tier teleportation mana instantly from experience. Before they could even brace themselves, Space-time warped, pulling them into the void of 1,000 silent transitions. Flash! The group vanished along with the other contestants, reappearing in a place that defied all their expectations. They stood within a grand, opulent hall, so luxurious it mirrored the interior of a legendary imperial palace. Green hesitated, questioning if they had accidentally stumbled into the very heart of the royal palace itself. He studied the ornate throne and shook his head. This wasn't the Redis Empire he once knew so well. Riley, however, wasn't looking at the gold, but at the ancient cracks lining the floorboards beneath their feet. She realized they were inside a relic, a tomb of sleeping artifacts, forbidden grimoires, and forgotten, primordial treasures. These ruins were death traps, guarded by eternal sentinels, waiting to shred any intruder seeking their hidden magic power. This ruin was ranked as an impossible SSS-class dungeon, making this academy entrance exam a death trap. Greenwar's blood boiled with excitement. A lethal trial like this was the ultimate filter for greatness. While Green anticipated the slaughter, Riley searched the crowd. Where had Sir Garen vanished to? Green pointed toward the distance. But before Riley could move, a bloodthirsty shadow lunged forward. It was the lunatic Becky. She slammed into Riley's shoulder, grinning like a predator finding its prey. "Fancy meeting you so soon, brat," Becky cackled. Riley sighed, annoyed by this constant psychological pest. Becky ignored the cold stare. "How was the Whale Inn? Did you enjoy your little vacation there?" Riley's gaze turned freezing. Becky's laughter echoed, sharp and mocking, fueled by her twisted arrogance. Recalling the hellish journey, Riley snapped back. "I never stayed at that cursed Whale Inn." Becky's grin faltered. Green knew they'd been scammed for 2 days, and Riley's patience was thinning. Before a duel erupted, the chaotic noise vanished. A sudden, heavy silence gripped the entire hall. The grand examiners finally appeared. Among them, a red-haired mage radiated an overwhelming high-rank aura. "Greetings, candidates. Your guidance begins now." Seeing them, Becky clicked her tongue in sheer annoyance. "Just wait," Becky hissed. "Once the exam starts, I'll hunt you first and make you regret everything." Riley didn't even glance back. Her calm indifference drove the bloodthirsty Becky into a primal rage. "You think you can survive me?" Becky growled. "I'm looking forward to it," Riley replied coldly. Becky retreated, fuming with hatred. Greenwar felt disappointed that no blood had been spilled yet. "If she wants to kill, why wait?" Green muttered, watching the psycho's retreating figure with boredom. The red-haired examiner announced the second trial, a brutal team competition involving 42 elite candidates. Divided into groups of 3, they had to cooperate instantly to survive the lethal gates ahead. They had 30 minutes to strategize, but fate played a cruel joke on the lowly-born Riley. Greenwar and the murderous Becky were placed in one team, joined by a mysterious girl. Candidates whispered about missing Riley's solo display. Riley seized the chance to mock her new teammate. "Too bad, Becky. Our fight must wait." Green groaned. Is this a nightmare? Why her of all people? Being trapped with a killer was suicide. Yet, a strange, playful spark danced in Riley's eyes. "Stop smiling," Green warned. "You are teamed up with a literal high-rank, crazed mass murderer." But seeing her this frustrated is priceless. Riley chuckled, savoring her small victory over the noble. Jay watched in terror. Becky looked like an unstable mana bomb ready to detonate at any moment. Riley's worry finally surfaced. "She won't actually try to murder me during the test, right?" Green's response lacked any conviction. "Probably not," he whispered, though his eyes said otherwise. The judge asked for questions. Becky's hand shot up, her eyes gleaming with a dark, murderous intent. "What happens if a teammate accidentally dies?" The judge smiled while violently silencing a nearby protester. The examiner sighed, explaining the cold reality. This wasn't a playground for arrogant young nobles. If a single member dies, the entire team is disqualified immediately. Protect each other or fail. Becky's face twisted in pure fury. "That's total nonsense," she screamed, her bloodlust reaching its peak. The crowd erupted in outrage. Linking their lives to others felt like an insult to their power. Suddenly, the air turned to lead. A high-tier mage's crushing mana pressure silenced the entire room. "The power of a master," Green whispered. Even the most arrogant nobles were brought to their knees. The judge scanned the trembling crowd. "You've been pampered far too long by your family names. Outside, you are called geniuses. Here, your ego is nothing but a liability to the tower. Decades of entitlement have rotted your souls. Your social skills are pathetic, and your pride is blind. To enter the magic tower, you must stop acting like spoiled brats and start acting like soldiers. This trial tests your ability to harmonize with strangers. If you fail to cooperate, you die. If you cannot handle the weight of this challenge, leave now. We have no use for cowards." The candidates fell silent. Whether they liked it or not, the era of individual glory was over. The unstable Becky could only grit her teeth. God, I hate this, she spat, echoing the redhead's frustration to pass. Swallowing her pride, Becky reached out to shake Rio's hand. It was a forced alliance born of absolute necessity. I'm only doing this because we're desperate. Give it your all, Becky muttered, her face a mask of pure reluctance. Riley's gaze remained ice cold. Nearby, Green watched the tense handshake, sensing the explosive pressure building within the girl. Her desire to pass was the only thing keeping her rage in check. Usually, she would have snapped by now. Looking back, Becky was disqualified during their very first encounter. But now, Green saw a flicker of change. Maybe she wasn't just a bloodthirsty maniac after all. Well, Green chuckled, perhaps there's a human side to her. Riley's eyes narrowed in warning. Don't be fooled. This could all be a carefully crafted performance. The smile vanished from Green's face as reality sank in. He turned his attention toward the mysterious girl in glasses. Anyway, on to the more important matter. Hello there, Four Eyes. The girl stammered, her voice barely a whisper. She stood at a distance, isolated from the group. Her mumbles were lost to the wind, leaving everyone confused. What is she saying? I can't hear a word, Becky snapped, looking completely bewildered by her new teammate. The redhead edged closer, trembling. I like ancient magic. Is there anything else I should say? She was like a deer in headlights, completely lacking social grace. Becky's patience finally hit its breaking point. Enough! Just start with your name. I'm Olivia. From the Blast Magic Academy. She replied timidly. The name Brace triggered Becky's fury. Those idiots? They're obsessed with that useless ancient trash. Why am I stuck with a moron like this? Becky screamed, sending Olivia into a fit of terrified tears. Green, lacking knowledge on the subject, asked the crucial question, is ancient magic really that pathetic? Green nodded solemnly. It has a terrible reputation, starting with its very name, ancient magic. It is a system from a forgotten era. In the modern world, it is practically extinct and utterly useless. To put it simply, it is outdated tradition. Those who study it are mocked as irresponsible dreamers. They chase fairy tale stories of moving mountains or splitting the great seas with a single spell. Society views them as fools chasing legends. They are treated with nothing but cold, biting contempt. How do they even still exist? We thought they vanished 300 years ago, Riley questioned. So, the roster is set. A ticking bomb assassin, a social misfit using dead magic, and Rio. Great, Green sighed. What a legendary disaster this team is. He feared for their very survival. Other candidates watched the dysfunctional trio with pity. Then, the veteran Garen approached to check on Riley. How is your body holding up? Teleportation sickness is common for beginners, Garen asked with concern. I'm fine, sir. But what about you? Is your team looking solid? Riley asked, shifting the focus. The old man stroked his chin with a confident grin. I'm satisfied. My squad is filled with first-class mages. Impressive, Green muttered under his breath, feeling the weight of the gap between their teams. Garen's smile faded as he looked at Riley. He had heard rumors about her mismatched party and felt pity. Before he could offer words of comfort, Becky's hysterical screaming shattered the silence. I'm going insane. We are doomed. Why is an ancient magic failure here for the elite selection exam? Becky glared with murderous intent. Olivia could only stutter. I am sorry. I will stay out of the way. Riley sighed, staring at her ragtag group. Even Garen could only shake his head in disbelief. Rebecca Duncan and a mage from Brace. A truly bizarre combination. Is this terrible luck, or a strange destiny? Green agreed with the sentiment. Becky might be a powerhouse, but her instability was a liability. No one knew when her fuse would blow. If she lost it during the test, things would turn bloody. They had to stay on high alert. But then there was Olivia, the biggest wildcard of all. It is impossible to expect anything from ancient magic. It has zero practical value in real combat. She has no experience. In reality, this team is just Riley and Becky carrying the dead weight. While others have 3 warriors, we only have 2, Green added, his voice heavy with hopelessness. What can we do? Riley replied. We chose this path. Now we must endure with iron determination. They weren't the only ones feeling the pressure. Every other team was likely thinking the exact same thing. My luck is truly abysmal. Why was I paired with these useless losers? I must focus. We need to ignore our differences and find each member's hidden strength to survive as one. But expecting teamwork from these fools is pure insanity. Green sighed while watching the chaos unfold. The scene was pathetic. His teammates were too busy screaming to even notice the looming danger. "Shut up and listen for once," Number 9 roared. "I have never even spoken to a girl." Olivia burst into tears of frustration. Watching this disaster, the old master lost all hope and left. "I am leaving now. Your group looks hopeless, though I am the one worried." Green just nodded. Is he gone already? Suddenly the atmosphere shifted. Now, everyone around us has become a deadly rival. A heavy silence fell over Green. He looked at his trembling ally, his heart filled with icy resolve. Fear? I feel nothing. Half a year of hellish training in the undead lair changed my very soul. If we crush this selection test alone, the ultimate prize will finally be within my grasp. I'm sure. The time for small talk ended. The red-haired examiner stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with malice. "Listen up, maggots. This is the entrance to the ruins where your second nightmare begins right now." She pointed toward a swirling dimensional gate. "This portal leads to the graveyard of fallen ancient heroes. Your mission is simple. Navigate the deadly labyrinth and retrieve the hidden treasures buried within its walls." She infused her mana into a crystal sphere. Suddenly, a holographic image flickered to life before them. "What is that monstrosity? Is it some kind of mechanical golem?" Becky asked, her voice trembling slightly. Ignoring the question, the examiner continued. "You have exactly 24 hours to complete this suicide mission. 2 conditions must be met. First, you must retrieve a golden earth core before the time expires." She held up a glowing orb. Her gaze swept over the crowd like a predator hunting prey. "Second, every single member of your team must remain alive. If one dies, you all fail." The goal was clear. Hunt the gold golem, take its heart, and survive the next 24 hours. It sounded like a simple treasure hunt. Just avoid the traps and hidden guardians to stay safe. The surrounding candidates began to laugh. Compared to the first test, this seemed like a walkover. They expected a world-class boss fight, but this appeared far too easy for an elite academy. But then, the examiner dropped a bombshell. There are only 3 golden cores in the entire ruins, 42 students divided into 14 teams. This meant only 3 groups could ever hope to pass. The laughter died instantly. The passing rate was a brutal 20%. A literal bloodbath was coming. Limited resources and desperate needs. They want us to kill each other. This is beyond cruel. Green stood unmoved by the revelation. He knew the dark nature of the 5 great magic towers. They do not want mages. They want monsters. They crave conflict and feast upon our desperate struggles. The examiner flashed a radiant, yet terrifying smile. She wasn't finished explaining the horrors awaiting them. The ruins are filled with obstacles, but none are more lethal than this creature, the Chimera. The screen showed a hideous beast with 3 heads. 1 dragon, 1 goat, and 1 lion head. It is a biological weapon designed for one purpose: total annihilation of any living thing it encounters. You might recognize it. 5 years ago, during the undead invasion, these beasts slaughtered thousands of civilians. Green froze as he recognized the creature. His heart hammered against his ribs in sheer, cold fury. I cannot believe it. Those are the very same monsters my own undead disciples once unleashed. The red-haired examiner didn't care. She urged them toward the gate to face their uncertain fate. You will be warped to a random location. It won't be easy, but glory awaits the victors. Step inside and prove you deserve the prestige of the 5 great magic towers. Move it now. The second test had officially begun. The desperate race for survival and power had finally started. Green entered a deep state of contemplation. The information he just learned was truly a game-changer. Somehow, I have become the secret mastermind. The master of the undead who once shook the empire. But why is this place so vast? Green wondered as he gazed upon the endless, desolate ruins. The party was cast into a realm so vast, they felt like ants in a god's palace. A violent tremor shook the ground, forcing everyone to halt. What was that terrifying shockwave? Becky cried out in shock. Was this a result of the protagonist's hidden power? Heavy footsteps echoed as a colossal warrior emerged, wielding a titanic axe and majestic armor. Facing such a beast, V felt no desire to fight. Did anyone mention this? She asked. They spoke of obstacles, but this statue was a living nightmare, not a simple trial. Greenworld trembled with worry. To Jay, this looked like a forbidden zone of death. How could they find the golden core while avoiding that monster? The difficulty was insane. Even Green War was stunned by the cruelty. V could only complain about their luck. This guardian was a walking death sentence. Instinct screamed, "Do not touch that thing. It would take 4 masters like Garen to survive." Green shook his head in disbelief. The main character chuckled, forgetting his team was packed with absolute, battle-crazed lunatics. Riley, why not jump on its head? Becky cheered, treating the beast like a toy. Green whirled snapped. He was surrounded by madmen. Riley rushed forward to restrain her. Stop her now, Green roared. Riley grabbed Becky, knowing her reckless nature all too well. Wait, Becky! Riley struggled as she tried to lunge toward the giant armored warrior. Becky was furious. Why stop me? I'll never get another chance to fight something this strong. Riley turned to Olivia for backup. Olivia, help me pin her down before she charges. Let go of me, Becky yelled. We don't even know its true power, Riley warned. We'll find out when we kill it, Becky argued. Green narrowed his eyes at her madness. Charging in blindly meant certain death. Even if they won, there would be no reward. No reward? The thrill is the reward, Becky shouted. Green looked at her like an alien. She dreamed of a fierce battle and a killing blow. That was the mage's way. She questioned Riley's soul. Do you even understand? Are you even a real mage, kid? Riley's heart wavered for a moment. Was a mage supposed to be this reckless? She's a lunatic. Don't listen to her, Green shouted, trying to save Riley's sanity. No sane mage would provoke that beast unless they were a battle maniac like Becky. Green wondered how the magic world had decayed into such madness during his long slumber. Becky was ready to leap, but Riley pointed ahead. Look, another team is moving in. A group of mages challenged the Titan. Let's turn this heap of stone into dust. They unleashed a massive emerald energy blast, aiming straight for the Guardian's armored face. The energy shattered against the Titan's chains. Not a single scratch. The mages froze. It didn't even flinch, the leader stammered. His ultimate strike had done absolutely nothing. The Guardian raised its foot and stomped. The black-haired mage was instantly crushed into blood. The survivors screamed in terror. Run! Get out of here! But there was no escape. With one massive axe swing, the Guardian ended their lives. Their fate was sealed. Seeing the carnage, Becky turned pale as a ghost. So, let's just find that core, okay? V agreed immediately. The group decided to bypass the Titan and continue their hunt. Riley touched the ground to scout. The mana here is heavy. Are all dungeons this difficult? Run for your lives, they screamed, but the monstrous Guardian was relentless, its murderous intent locking on. A massive axe carved through the air, seeking to send them to the same grave as their comrades. Becky watched the giant's overwhelming power, her face turning pale with pure terror. This is absolute insanity. Can we just grab the gold core? She pleaded. Finding that objective was their only path to survival. They bypassed the Titan, focusing on the prize. Riley pressed her palms to the cold, damp earth. Her scouting magic flared. The mana here is resisting me, she muttered, feeling the dungeon's oppressive weight. Green scanned the eerie ruins, his expression darkening. This place wasn't just dangerous, it was an anomaly. The natural difficulty was staggering. Chaotic energy surged through the air, violently suppressing all magical senses. Ancient spells were layered like thick armor, making navigation nearly impossible for any ordinary mage. Riley, how long to clear this mess? Green asked with intrigue. 5 minutes, she replied calmly. Maybe 3 if I push it. To a normal mage, this mana suppression was like wandering blind. Yet Riley remained unfazed, moving with a grace that left the others looking like amateurs. Becky's patience snapped. She clutched her head, screaming in fury at the stubborn energy barriers. Surrounded by ancient magic, Becky turned to Olivia, the group's supposed scholar. Think of something, Olivia. We need that gold core, but our pathfinding is dead. How do we find it? I'm sorry. No ancient spell I know can bypass this interference, Olivia stammered, looking down. You can't even use basic pathfinding? Becky's brow furrowed as her temper finally reached its limit. If you can't fight, you should at least support us. Are you completely useless now? The harsh words stung like venom. Olivia felt like a tiny ant, trembling under Becky's crushing gaze. Becky smirked cruelly. Raise one hand. Go on. Now, use it to smack your own head. Olivia's eyes welled with tears, but she didn't dare resist, striking herself as Becky commanded. Green sighed at the bullying. But then, the red-haired girl suddenly gasped with a new idea. Wait, what if we use Becky's clones? Just like during the first entrance exam. If they spread out, we won't need pathfinding magic at all. What do you guys think? Becky paused, her eyes narrowing as she calculated the feasibility of using her shadow army. Greenwar listened intently. On paper, it was a logical strategy to bypass the ruins' defenses. With enough clones, finding the gold core would simply become a matter of time and numbers. It would allow them to map the restricted zone instantly, but it remained a dangerous theory. Becky summoned a duplicate to explain. Look, if I spread my clones across these ruins, they would act as my eyes and ears, sharing every vision and sensation they encounter. It's like having 100 invisible spies, but there is one major flaw you missed. This only works if they stay intact. Can I dodge every trap while controlling dozens? Some will inevitably face monsters. Can I manage 100 separate battles at once? The mana drain would be catastrophic. Maintaining this many shadows would leave me completely vulnerable. If an enemy strikes while I'm exhausted, we're finished. My life force is tied to them. Every destroyed clone tears away my internal energy. Now you see why I can't do it. Becky shrugged dismissively. She turned away, sighing at Olivia's lack of practical combat knowledge. Riley, any bright ideas? I'm starting to lose my mind dealing with this useless girl. Before the question even finished, Riley spoke up. It's done. I've finished the entire map. Becky's eyes widened in shock. Mana circuits were erupting from Riley's palms like a glowing spiderweb. Information flooded back instantly, allowing Riley to visualize the entire layout of the ancient ruins. What is this magic? They shouted in unison. Just a pathfinding spell, Riley replied nonchalantly. That's not the pathfinding spell we know. Riley just glared. I said it's pathfinding. Deal with it, Green smiled. 6 months of refinement well spent. Does this technique have a name, kid? I named every heist technique in my old gang. Riley replied confidently. Want to hear it? It's the ultimate super high-class pathfinding. Green cut her off before she could finish. Never mind, let's move. With the map secured, the group surged forward into the depths. Suddenly, Riley hissed. Stop! Everyone, freeze! Her voice was sharp and filled with authority. Arrows whistled from the walls, missing them by inches. Olivia gasped in terror. A trap! That's the third one, Riley noted coolly. Becky stared at her, completely baffled by her precision. How are you so good at this? It's like you were raised by master thieves. Ever dealt with the Thieves Guild? Riley asked. Becky's cold silence spoke more than words ever could. Becky turned back to Green. Our MC was deep in thought, his hidden mana pathways syncing perfectly. His pathfinding, forged in the guild's shadows, was a masterclass in SSS rank potential. Truly, a perfect awakening. Good job, Rai. Mages usually waste mana on shields, leaving them completely drained during the long march. In this hellish dungeon, running out of inner power means an immediate and gruesome end for anyone. Suddenly, a mangled corpse appeared in a pool of blood. Olivia's terrified scream shattered the eerie silence. Becky silenced her instantly. Shut it. You'll draw every monster in this abyss straight to our throats. She analyzed the wounds with a veteran's gaze. These weren't just injuries, they were marks of predators. Hellhounds, Becky muttered. These mages were drained by traps before the slaughter even began. Pathetic losers. Thanks to Riley's god-tier detection, we passed the traps without breaking a sweat. We were ready. Your skills are legendary for a rookie, Becky admitted. Riley's oppressed past was finally yielding true power. Green snapped back, annoyed. Just acknowledging her now? Riley did all the heavy lifting for this team. Riley smirked at his friend's fierce defense. A simple thank you wouldn't kill you. Would it, Becky? Fine, thanks, Becky barked. But did you have to ruin this dramatic moment, you little brat? Absolutely, Riley replied coolly. Becky's rage flared. Why do you insist on getting under my skin? Because you scammed me. You promised a feast but led me to a soup kitchen on day 1. Then you called me a trash mage. I haven't forgotten that insult to my bloodline and pride. Riley shrugged, her innocence only fueling Becky's fire. The tension was thick enough to cut with steel. You think you're SSS rank just for clearing traps? Becky roared. Fight me right now and prove it. Riley waved it off. If you die, we fail. And in your state, you'd be dead instantly. Becky laughed hysterically, scratching her head. Me? Dead? My blood pressure is hitting the damn ceiling. The argument raged until Olivia couldn't take it. She screamed for them to stop this madness immediately. How can you bicker in front of the dead? Her voice echoed through the dark, blood-stained corridors. Silence returned. Olivia knelt to close the corpse's eyes, hoping to offer the fallen some final peace. Becky grabbed her arm, stopping her cold. Don't touch them. That's a fatal mistake you can't afford. Olivia glared back, eyes tearing up. Don't you have any pity? Becky sighed, her patience finally snapping. Inexperience will be your grave. Look at the glowing slime on their skin, you naive fool. That's hellhound saliva. They track prey by scent. One touch, and we are all marked for death. Olivia's face went pale as death. The reality of the dungeon's cruelty finally began to sink in. I'm sorry, she whispered. Becky's gaze softened. Just stay sharp. Survival is the only rule here. Riley stared in genuine surprise. I honestly thought you'd let her touch it just to be petty. I'm not insane, kid. I value my life too. Becky snapped, waving her away with pure frustration. Green watched Becky curiously. Was this the same woman who claimed she'd duel a legendary stone golem? But you'd fight a golem? Riley reminded her. That's different, Becky replied, her eyes gleaming with battle lust. Golems are epic. Hellhounds are just pests. I only fight opponents worthy of my hidden strength. Suddenly, an enemy mage squad appeared. Mana surged violently as both sides prepared for a total bloodbath. Our first real battle, Becky grinned, her killing intent leaking out like a devastating tsunami of power. Before the clash, a scream rang out. An enemy mage was suddenly snatched by something in the shadows. What is that? Olivia cried. The mage was hoisted high, blood spraying the walls like morbid art. I can't see it. What's killing them? The enemy team panicked as death approached them invisibly. A girl was ripped in half instantly. Riley's group dove for cover as the carnage unfolded before them. Becky muffled Olivia's mouth. One sound would mean their end. The apex predator was stalking the room. Green watched, nauseated. This SSS rank trial was more brutal than any academy lesson ever taught him. Hold it in, Becky hissed. If you vomit now, we are all dead meat. Swallow it down. She's going to blow, Riley whispered. The true nightmare of this cursed dungeon had only just begun. Olivia falters. Green eyes jelly. Wanna hunt that ghost? Riley stares ahead. Is it even possible? She ponders. Green smirks. No one's here. Time to unleash hell. The hero grins. Time to stretch these SSS rank muscles. Becky, stop hiding. Here's the bloody fight you wanted. Becky leaps. The beast senses their overwhelming killing intent. Green cheers while Becky marvels at the monster's maw. The beast roars, gathering a sphere of pure annihilation. A beam fires, but Riley's dispel magic shatters it. The monster freezes. It's never seen power this absolute. Golden eyes mock its state. Green laughs at it. A simple spell crushed its ultimate. Its pride shattered. Don't poke a hungry dog, Riley taunts. You're dead. Becky appears behind it, praising Riley's overwhelming hidden talent. The beast lashes out. Becky reads its every move. She dances on its nose. You're nothing to me. Green's disciple sighs. Must she be so childish now? Becky blurs into clones. Are you blind? You monster. Riley gathers cosmic mana. Time to end this farce? Becky agrees. Two legends align for the final strike. Mana explodes. The beast realizes its fate too late. Magic missiles pierce its soul. Too easy, Becky scoffs. Olivia's trembling. Get up. It's over. Becky shouts loudly. Olivia sighs. Becky calls her a fool but cares. Green smiles. Becky's rough exterior hides a warm heart. Riley agrees. Her kindness is masked by pure eccentricity. She's not evil, just a wild, unpredictable battle genius. An eccentric mage who fights first and asks later. Her soul resonates with our protagonist's hidden dark path. Becky isn't a killer, but Garen's warning still lingers. The second exam nears. The truth will soon surface. Olivia chants an ancient prayer to the Great Mother. Souls gather as she finishes. Becky watches, totally unimpressed. Why waste time on these ceremonies? Becky asks bluntly. To honor the fallen. Becky just tilts her head. Olivia rants about the Great Mother guiding lost souls. Ancient lore spills out. Riley sighs at Academy rules. Pure superstition, Riley mutters, then corners Olivia with questions. You said ancient magic can't track. How'd you pass? Olivia stammers. Riley's sharp gaze pierces through her facade. How did you find the office without tracking magic? Becky is curious. How did this weakling reach it? Olivia's knowledge is a lie. The hero senses it. I didn't track it. Olivia confesses, face turning red. I just hired a professional guild to find it. This self-proclaimed genius believes her mastery of ancient magic surpasses everyone. She expects the world to bow. In her mind, the 5 great mage towers should worship her presence. A talent like her is 1 in a million. But there's a catch: she can't even find the registration office. No one will help this arrogant stranger. Olivia thinks it's a tragedy for a genius to fail, especially just because she lacks simple tracking spells. She corners a mage who just passed to demand assistance. Green watches, finding her reliance on others absolutely pathetic. Proving one's worth by mucking off others is pure madness. Olivia claims she asked nicely, but was ignored. Green scoffs, knowing no one would help a lunatic, no matter how polite she pretended to be. They treated her like a total freak and walked away. A fool who can't walk alone has no right to be here. The protagonist agrees, growing more baffled by the second. How did this crazy girl even survive until now? Finally, she confesses her dark secret with a smirk. She used the forbidden art of torture magic. Her specialty lies in the most horrific ancient spells. Under her agonizing pressure, the other mage had to talk. Facing her brutal mana, he had no choice but to spill the truth. Rebecca hears this and stands frozen in shock. She wonders if the proctors would ever allow such a demonic act. Is this girl a candidate or a villain? Olivia proudly declares she found the way through her own strength. Becky starts to find this psycho strangely fascinating. How can a madwoman talk about respecting the dead? Olivia doesn't see the contradiction at all. Rebecca bursts into uncontrollable laughter at the sheer absurdity. She falls to the ground, howling that Olivia is truly insane. 12 hours into the second trial, and the golden cores are missing. The protagonist checks on his struggling disciple. She is still desperately chasing shadows to meet the passing grade. The pressure of the exam is reaching a breaking point. To pass, they must harvest a golden golem's core. But these metallic beasts are masters of evasion. They vanish the moment a trap is set. Half a day has passed with absolutely nothing to show for it. Becky sighs as the challenge seems almost impossible. Meanwhile, Jel senses a sudden shift in the atmosphere. 2 golems have stopped moving nearby, as if paralyzed. Garen's group realizes this is their golden opportunity. They celebrate their luck. But one man remains focused. He watches Garen, the living legend, with deep respect. Garen is the hero who slaughtered hundreds of demons. Having him as an ally is like having a god on your side. Being his enemy would be a one-way ticket to the afterlife. The man feels lucky, but keeps his guard up. He knows better than to daydream during a life-or-death trial. He approaches the legendary warrior with a suggestion. Since the core is found, he asks if they can finally rest. His body is screaming after 12 hours of non-stop tracking. Garen's eyes remain cold and sharp as a blade. "We have no time for such weakness," he snaps. The man is stunned by Garen's relentless drive. Garen then turns his gaze toward Abel with a burning question. He hasn't spoken a word until now, making the air feel heavy. Abel looks confused, but Theoban remains suspicious. Theoban demands the core be handed over immediately. He senses a terrifying power radiating from the stone. This mana is unlike any regular golem core he's ever felt. He imagines it's a secret masterpiece from the 5 towers. Why would they waste 12 hours searching for such a massive power? The absurdity of the situation doesn't sit right. Abel Stingus, a high-tier prodigy at only 29, agrees. Something about this test feels like a deadly trap. Theoban examines the core's eerie, pulsing energy. It's a source of mana he's never witnessed in his entire life. He suspects it's a hidden weapon forged for this very exam, a secret buried deep within these ancient, cursed ruins. He wonders how such a massive energy signal stayed hidden. Even with magical interference, it should have been obvious. These ruins are warped by strange, ancient enchantments. Yet, a power this unique shouldn't be so invisible. Abel, the elite successor of the noble Stingus line, is wary. Even at his level, he can't explain the anomaly. It's illogical that even a veteran like Garen struggled to find it. Theoban finally reveals the shocking truth. This was all a calculated deception by the Mage Towers. He points to the core's outer shell of black dragon skin. This legendary material creates an absolute void against ancient magic. It made tracking the core a literal impossibility. Abel gasps, unable to believe they'd use such treasures. Why waste dragon scales on a mere student evaluation? He questions if the towers are simply throwing away their fortune. Theoban asks if he truly understands the stakes. This isn't just an exam, it's a trial fit for the gods. The real nightmare is only beginning. Appel smirked as Theoban sized up the 42 survivors lost within the ruins. Though the exact count remained a mystery, their survival proved their elite tracking skills. But what happens when that dragon skin-wrapped golem core is finally unearthed? A sudden realization struck Sting Wood. His face paled as if hearing a divine secret. Theoban revealed the cold truth. This wasn't just a search, it was an all-out war. Finding the core was merely step 1. Protecting it was the real nightmare. The first to find it becomes the ultimate target. A never-ending struggle for survival. Appel finally grasped the 5 Towers' cruel design, a strategy of all against one. Would they scatter in terror? Or embrace the slaughter until their final breath? This is a trial that would make even legendary magic masters tremble with fear. Alliances or betrayals? It didn't matter. They were just puppets for the higher gods. Appel questioned the reckless move. Why seize the core now and face certain doom? Theoban's cold smile said it all. Speed is the only path to victory. Suddenly, Rival mages swarmed like starving wolves, smelling fresh blood in the air. 𝒂𝒏𝒌 slammed his staff. A shockwave erupted, crushing the very lungs of his foes. Enemies gasped, bound by invisible chains as space itself began to twist and warp. A magic cyclone roared, sweeping the fools who dared challenge him into the heavens. Like autumn leaves in a storm, they vanished. Dorothy watched the carnage in absolute awe. 𝒂𝒏𝒌 had turned the tower's own trap into a weapon of mass destruction. "Prepare yourselves," he commanded. "These 10 insects aren't even worth the effort." Elsewhere, Rebecca sensed a surge. The Golden Core's mana was screaming like a siren. She urged Riley forward, desperate for the prize. But Riley refused to move. He knew the cost. A bloodbath was coming, and he wasn't joining the mindless chaos. Becky burned with anxiety. She couldn't let the crown slip through her fingers now. Calm as a still lake, Riley proposed a different path. Let them fight each other. While they slaughter for one core, we seek the others. Becky reluctantly agreed. Without god-tier mana, finding the truth in this interference was an impossible task. Most relied on sheer luck. Only a chosen few could truly see the path. Greenwood scoffed. Letting fate decide an exam this important was pure madness. Suddenly, the core roared like an ancient dragon awakening from a 1,000-year slumber. The signal was clear. The true game of survival had officially begun. The ground quaked with the vibrations of war, as if giants were tearing each other apart. A free-for-all has started. There is no turning back from this crimson battlefield. The core's mana spiked. A calculated trap by the 5 towers to incite total carnage. Did someone amplify this on purpose? A scheme to cull the weak from the strong? Our hero walked closer. Who would be insane enough to pull such a stunt? The girl shook her head. He scratched his chin, feeling strangely called out. Rebecca fumed. "Why are we strolling while the world burns in blood and fire?" "Relax," Olivia whispered. "The golem will find us soon enough. No need to rush." Becky questioned Olivia's path. Why choose the forgotten and impractical arts of ancient magic? Olivia's eyes sparkled. She dreamt of legends like Nerf, Moran, and the loyal Ariel. Riley chimed in. Even Becky's illusion magic was a rare and curious choice. "Don't compare us," Becky snapped. But the logic of their situation was undeniable. Riley noted Olivia's flaw. Her obsession made her a specialized pawn on life's board. Green nodded. In this world, being an incomplete mage was a certain death sentence. Olivia's obsession with ancient magic was a fatal flaw. She couldn't master even the most basic academy spells. Becky couldn't stay silent. Why cling to those forgotten relics? Olivia's answer was simple, yet haunting. She spoke of childhood stories, a dream she never wanted to wake from. But Becky's rebuttal was cold. Moving mountains and splitting seas? Just fairy tales. She mocked the idea as a joke for delusional dreamers. Olivia stood her ground, citing ancient records of a lost, legendary era. Becky issued a sudden, daring challenge. "Prove that power with your own magic, then." Olivia hesitated. "Perhaps one day, we will reclaim that glory." Becky worried for her friend. "You're throwing away your genius for a ghost." She cornered Olivia with a question. "Besides that bizarre torture magic, what practical spells do you actually know?" The silence that followed was deafening. Olivia stood speechless, looking like a defeated warrior in a battle of wits. Becky urged her to face reality. "I once loved illusions too," Becky confessed, "but I realized they are useless in this harsh world." Green War interjected, explaining that magic flows through the eternal veins of history, as an unchanging universal law. The era of blood and war had vanished. Great empires were forged by archmages, who once walked like gods. With absolute pride and divine authority, the emperor christened his land as the glorious Riz Empire. A golden age of eternal peace began, quenching the fires of bloody conflict. From that moment, everything changed. War magic became a relic of the past, like a shattered blade cast into history's shadows. Green added more. The empire shifted all focus toward technical magic to elevate the lives of the common people, making dreams real. Destructive spells, once vital for conquest, were useless for exploring the world's mysterious, hidden dungeons. One wrong blast could bury treasures forever. To ensure safety, magic evolved in a completely new direction. It became a game of speed and absolute precision. Modern magic systems were born from this necessity. A leap forward. Powerful destruction magic was slowly forgotten, labeled as ancient magic, a primitive force relegated to dusty legends. As the empire stabilized, ancient magic became the domain of scholars, hunting for traces of a fallen civilization. But the massive gap in time turned history into myth, and then into mere bedtime stories for children. All that remained was a hazy illusion, a dream that felt further away with each passing second. Green sighed bitterly. No one remembers the legends who once rewrote the stars. The world had moved on. Suddenly, Riley made a bold declaration. "I want to learn ancient magic." Her eyes burned with mysterious resolve. Green was stunned. "Did you not hear a word I said?" He reminded her it was a useless power. It's a broken tool for a modern world. But Riley didn't flinch. Her conviction was like tempered steel. If war returns, this magic will be king. She saw it as a hidden trump card. For the future. Green explained the price was high. It required learning lost tongues and memorizing endless complex incantations. Worst of all, you must reset your mana circuits. It meant starting over from zero. Riley's resolve instantly shattered. Maybe in the next life, she joked, though a hint of regret lingered. They soon reached their destination. A rival team had already cornered the prize, a golden golem, trapped like a beast in a cage. Becky observed the situation. They found the target first. A tense, awkward atmosphere hung in the air. Green noticed the enemy team's exhaustion. They looked like they'd survived a brutal massacre. The golem was no prey. They caught it alive, but the core is still inside. A cautious and calculated move by the rivals. The golem thrashed like a wild monster. A mage struggled to maintain the magical restraints, keeping it down. Riley was puzzled. Why take it alive? Why not just destroy it for the core? The logic failed her. Green noticed the dragonhide armor. That's why its mana felt so faint. The shell was masking its SSS rank power. The moment that core comes out, it'll be a bloodbath for the prize. They had to act now. Green agreed. The 5 great towers are cunning. They love setting these deadly, high-stakes traps for students. He warned his disciples to stay alert. This team had cleared every trap. They were formidable opponents. Becky concluded they were dangerous. Prepare yourselves for a fierce clash. She didn't wait for a signal. Becky lunged forward like a storm. Her missile magic screamed across the battlefield with overwhelming destructive intent. But then, something impossible happened. The enemy leader dropped to his knees and begged for mercy. The entire team froze in shock. It was a miracle or a trap that no one saw coming. Becky froze in shock, asking if he was joking, while the other mages questioned their leader's bizarre submission. The leader roared, ordering them to kneel instantly or face certain death at the hands of this monster. A heavy silence fell. No one understood the situation, and Green felt like he had entered another world. Rebecca was stunned. Why did they surrender so easily without a fight? It was a completely baffling situation. Riley smirked, thinking her legendary reputation in the magic world had finally struck terror into their weak hearts. The enemy captain begged for mercy, whispering Olivia's name like she was a vengeful goddess of death. To avoid a torturous end, they surrendered the golem. Olivia shyly admitted she helped them pass the first trial. As they recalled the past, the group finally understood why these arrogant mages were now shaking in fear. Riley picked up the golem, laughing that the legendary beast looked like a harmless and cute little puppy. Green compared it to a sphinx cat, while Becky approached, eager to pet the adorable golden creature. Suddenly, the golem bit her. Becky screamed in horror as Riley rushed over to check if she was all right. Becky toughed it out despite the pain. Green's disciple remarked that this team was like a chaotic mobile circus. At least they secured the golden golem without a fight. It was a lucky and unexpected turn of events. Green agreed that avoiding unnecessary bloodshed was the best path for a master mage like himself. Becky seemed disappointed, craving a real clash. She teased Olivia about having a hidden talent for torture magic. Olivia admitted it was the only ancient magic she knew, having practiced it obsessively in the dark. Becky wondered why Olivia trembled before, especially since that high-rank torture spell had a 1-month cooldown. Green watched them, confused about who was crazier. The atmosphere shifted as the conversation turned to origins. Becky asked if Olivia was from the South. Olivia was shocked, wondering how her secret was revealed. "Your accent gives you away," Becky replied. Green concurred, sensing the distinct Southern mana within her. Riley grew suspicious of Green's vast knowledge. Green claimed he gathered this intel over thousands of years. Riley called it regional discrimination. Green scoffed, asking since when she cared about human ethics and morality. Becky revealed she was also Southern. Olivia panicked, asking if everyone from the South was this insane. 20 hours flew by like a breeze. Only 4 hours remained until the final bell of the trial. Tension mounted. Riley used her tracking mana to scout the perimeter, finding no other candidates nearby. She let out a tired yawn. sighing that this long, exhausting day was finally nearing its end. Green encouraged her to hold on. Their goal was close, and the SSS rank rise was within reach. This boring exam was almost over. Green felt a surge of confidence that they would pass unscathed. Suddenly, an abnormal mana signature erupted. Something was charging toward them with the speed of a monster. Riley instantly analyzed the threat and cast a spell. Becky and Olivia snapped awake from their light sleep. Becky questioned Riley, doubting her earlier claim that no one was approaching their hidden position. Riley stayed calm, though her detection spells had failed to sense any presence until the very last second. It was impossible. Becky knew Riley's magic was godlike, capable of detecting even the most hidden traps. She could even scout within ruins thick with mana interference. This enemy's stealth was truly terrifying. Green realized how serious this was. These opponents were fighting like desperate, cornered beasts with nothing to lose. Unless they used Dragonhide, such speed was illogical. Riley wondered why they would attack so recklessly. If they had the golem, why launch a suicide strike? Green admitted he didn't know the reason. One thing was clear: the enemies were elite. Their mana density and casting speed were dangerously high. These were formidable foes. Green watched them approach. His eyes filled with a new sense of wary confusion. Why were such powerful freaks attacking like bloodthirsty animals? The danger level was reaching a breaking point. Their precision and speed were monstrous. They possessed a level of power that rivaled even Riley's elite talent. The air grew cold. This wasn't just a test anymore. It was a battle against true predators. He watched the monstrosities advance with unnatural bloodlust. Why were these beasts so abnormally powerful and aggressive? Like ravenous predators defending their lair, they surged forward. These were clearly high-level S-rank threats. Their spellcasting speed was terrifying, far surpassing anything the Academy's elite training had ever prepared her for. Masters at the absolute pinnacle of magic create an unbridgeable gap. Riley turns to ask a chilling question. Green, do you sense that familiar mana? It is an indelible scar burned into our deepest memories. The terrifying hypothesis is confirmed. A truth they fear, like a nightmare creeping into the waking world. As they advance, mana gathers in their palms like unsheathed blades ready for a bloody symphony. Riley realizes this is a psychological probe, a cold war to measure the opponent's raw soul. Only the truly powerful dare play this lethal game. Mana echoes like instruments in a dark concerto. Every magic type creates a unique mana signature. A mysterious symphony that reveals a wizard's true essence. A speed-focused mage flows like a torrential flood. A power-hungry mage rages like a violent hurricane. A precision mage is orderly like a marching army. But a destruction mage is a literal erupting volcano. They predict every move and calculate the compatibility for the coming war. Destiny's chessboard is set. The hooded mage finally speaks. It has been a long time. His words drip with hidden malice. Riley responds with cold shock. I did not expect to meet you under these dire circumstances. That voice carries a mana current, like a freezing wind. It pierces through Green's very heart. Why is he here, 𝑺𝒍𝒂𝒗? The sworn enemy they can never coexist with in this life. Green whispers in regret. It is a tragedy that things have escalated to this point of no return. Riley demands to know if he came for the golem core. Garen's reply is a chilling mystery. I already possess one, he says, hiding a dark truth. Riley presses on with heavy suspicion. Garen reveals that this academy exam is a magnet for mages with bloodthirsty agendas. Madmen see this as a legal battlefield. His true goal is to eliminate Rebecca once and for all. He harbors an irreconcilable vendetta. Letting her live would bring a calamity upon the entire magic world. Riley recalls the harsh rule. If one teammate falls, the entire party is disqualified instantly. If Garen crushes Becky, Riley's journey ends too. They are bound by a thread of unavoidable fate. Garen mocks their situation with false pity. But Rebecca declares she will handle this monster herself. Their past grievances must be settled in blood. Green warns Riley of a fatal style mismatch. Garen's defense is an absolute fortress. Riley decides to use high-speed missile magic to find a crack. He aims to exploit weaknesses with dispelling spells. Yet Garen's mana remains a perfect, impenetrable shield. He is the ultimate nightmare opponent. Riley watches as anxiety begins to cloud Becky's fierce expression. Becky admits Garen is a high-ranking monster. But her pride only burns brighter in his presence. I only fight those worthy of my steel, she declares with a haughty, confident smile. Garen is the perfect prey. She will not back down from this legendary duel. Garen warns his allies, Dorothy and Appel. The mage they face is no ordinary low-ranker. Dorothy sneers at the ancient magic user. She sees no reason to fear such outdated power. She eyes Garen's beauty, but then focuses on Riley. Her curiosity turns into blatant, sharp mockery. Are my eyes failing me? Is he truly just a bottom-tier mage? Garen confirms the stinging truth. Dorothy laughs at Riley's audacity. How dare a low-level insect crawl into this prestigious exam? Garen counters that rank does not define soul. But Dorothy is baffled by such illogical reasoning. To her, a mage who has not reached intermediate level is a joke. Garen orders the assault. Dorothy slams her foot down. A hungering shadow beast lunges toward Riley and Green with fury. It is shadow attribute magic. The darkness twists, separating the allies into isolated zones of combat. Now Becky stands alone against Garen Theban. It is an honor to face a legend, she says. She mentions a name. Sharon. Do you know what she says about you? The air turns icy. I have never met you, but Sharon's stories make you feel like an old, hated friend. Garen's rage explodes. Do not utter my niece's name with your filthy, wretched mouth. Dorothy's magic warps space. They are thrust into a surreal garden built for ancient, massive giants. This place is abandoned and overgrown. Green wonders if they were the only ones pulled into this trap. Olivia's agonizing cries echoed like a wounded beast through the thickets. Suddenly, the golden golem materialized before Riley. Green warned that losing the golem meant absolute catastrophe. They had to protect Olivia at any cost now. Shadows swirled as high-tier displacement magic warped the battlefield. Such a forbidden spell consumed an ocean of mana. The enemy wouldn't waste such power without a lethal plan. This terrain was chosen to be their graveyard. Dense trees choked the vision of even the sharpest mages. Not even mana sensing could pierce this supernatural shroud. Green sensed the trap closing in on them both. Their veteran opponents had sacrificed visibility for a strategic, deadly advantage. Frustration flared in Riley's eyes as the ambush failed. Had Garen been precise, this war would have ended instantly. Regret burned as Abel mocked their lack of knightly honor. To him, ambushing was a cowardly, low-tier tactic. Dorothy's mocking laughter cut through the tension like a blade. She sneered at the very concept of honor here. Her voice dripped with pure disdain for the young girl. She refused to struggle against a weak, low-rank brat. The arrogant mage questioned why Garen even demanded caution. Green whispered that Rebecca Duncan had already been eliminated. Fighting a high-rank mage alone was a literal suicide mission. Even a genius like Becky couldn't survive that onslaught. Riley had to shatter this blockade to reach her ally. If she failed now, the entire exam would end in blood. Doubt clouded her heart as the odds plummeted towards zero. Their chances of survival were thinner than a thread. Two veteran mid-rank mages stood like immovable mountain peaks. Dorothy vowed to extinguish Riley's life if she advanced further. Abel unleashed his hidden earth mana, twisting the forest floor. The trees morphed into terrifying, man-eating botanical horrors. The trap was finally sprung within this cursed garden. Riley realized the enemy had prepared this killing zone long ago. Abel revealed his lineage as the successor of Archmage Stingwood. He was a master of the forbidden secret earth arts. That legendary name sent a chill down Riley's spine. Suddenly, Dorothy struck from the darkness like a literal demon. Riley soared into the air with the grace of a hawk. She knew the predator could strike from heaven or hell. Upon landing, she unleashed a blinding burst of repelling mana. Her light blazed against the encroaching tide of shadow. Dorothy claimed her pride as a veteran was being insulted. Bullying a low-ranked child was beneath her status as a mage. "Surrender, immediately!" Her voice thundered with absolute authority. She offered one final mercy before the slaughter began. She urged the girl to seek other opportunities in life. There was no shame in retreating from an impossible battle. Green analyzed the battlefield as the nightmare synergy deepened. Shadow and man-eating plants formed a perfect, lethal combination. Riley turned to her ancient mentor, seeking a path to victory. Facing two mid-ranks alone seemed like a death sentence. Green, who had survived millions of years, just smirked. He knew that even a low rank could slay a god. Target the plant master first, Riley decided with icy resolve. Breaking the forest's control was the only way to survive. Without Abel's carnivorous plants, the Shadow Mage's power would crumble. He was the core of this entire deadly formation. Green agreed, noting the danger of the toxic fungal spores. One wrong move meant total paralysis and a slow death. The botanical strikes would be relentless and hard to dodge. Green asked if she knew who founded these Stingwood arts. They were persistent fools who refused to accept defeat, Green chuckled. Riley sighed, having heard enough of his ancient tales. The legendary counterattack was about to begin in earnest. They now saw through every secret the enemies were hiding. Dorothy's patience finally snapped as her aura flared with rage. "Have you chosen your grave yet?" she hissed. Yet Green War, a veteran of 1,000,000 battles, stood unfazed by their overwhelming aura. "Who dies first?" he asked coolly. Riley analyzed the field, her tactical instincts honing in on the boss. "The tree controller is the linchpin," she declared. Green raised an eyebrow, testing his student's battlefield vision. "Kill the summoner, and the shadows controlled by that woman will vanish. He is the tactical key." Green nodded. That man was a lethal threat, weaving vines that could crush any ordinary noble mage. Poisonous spores and paralyzing thorns made him a nightmare. One wrong step meant a slow, agonizing death. Who birthed such monstrous plant magic? Green questioned his disciple, testing her knowledge of legendary forbidden arts. Archmage 𝒂𝒒𝒏𝒌, a genius fueled by an eternal obsession with the arcane. A true legend. Idiots who never quit, Green smirked. Riley sighed, already tired of hearing about his eccentric former disciples. The history lesson ended as the battlefield roared. They now saw through the enemy's deepest, darkest secrets. Every weakness was exposed. Dorothy looked at Riley. "Will you finally awaken your hidden SSS rank magic?" Facing a cowardly surrender, Riley recalls the fable of the trickster, declaring a grand show begins now. She mockingly offers the golden golem, claiming such a legendary prize is beneath her current needs. Dorothy sneers at Garen's warnings, calling the choice to battle in this place pure, arrogant insanity. "One more core won't hurt," Dorothy gloats, while the golem weeps fake tears to lower her guard. With deceptive tenderness, Riley sends the golem forward, and Dorothy falls instantly for the cute trap. Green War watches in disbelief, sensing a sinister scam beneath Riley's perfectly crafted, innocent facade. Riley smirks. The ultimate weapon is the prey's arrogance toward those they deem weak and inferior. "Toby, strike," she commands. The once pitiful golem lunges, sinking its lethal teeth into a shocked Dorothy. Like a puppet with cut strings, Dorothy collapses as Riley ignites her mana for a sudden ambush. Seizing the opening, Riley launches a high-speed magic missile at her completely distracted and panicked foes. Abel desperately deploys a mana shield, but Riley's cold eyes are already dissecting his amateur defense. With SSS rank precision, she uses Dispel, slicing through the shield, like a hot blade through butter. Abel barely pulls Dorothy away, his instincts screaming as Green War praises his old wolf reflexes. Meanwhile, Rebecca faces Garen. The air freezes as Garen warns, "Never speak my niece's name again." Boiling with hatred, Garen glares, but Rebecca counters with a smirk that masks a soul-deep fury. "Am I filthy for being called mad?" she asks, refusing to bow to his hypocritical noble pride. "I already avenged Sharon 2 years ago," she declares, summoning the ghosts of the Academy's past. She recalls the exam where Sharon was hunted, while the noble students simply watched and laughed. Driven to the brink by their cruelty, Rebecca snapped, choosing a path of blood for her friend. Garen roars that murder isn't justice, claiming she tarnished Sharon's memory with a senseless, dark massacre. He accuses her of hiding a bloodthirsty slaughter behind the mask of righteous revenge and honor. 2 years ago, the Tower Elders died mysteriously. A year later, dozens of veteran mages were hunted. An unprecedented streak of killings began, marking the rise of a new shadow in the magic world. Thus, the legend of the mad genocide, Rebecca Duncan, was born a name feared like a demon. Sharon's death birthed a monster, and Garen believes Rebecca's madness only erases the girl they knew. "I will end you myself," Garen vows, seeking to reclaim his family's honor through Rebecca's blood. "Honor?" Rebecca screams. "You care for honor while your only niece lies in a cold grave?" Garen falters, his hand trembling as he faces the unsolvable mystery of his own failures and grief. "A mage speaks through magic," she taunts. "Isn't that the lesson you shoved down Sharon's throat?" Garen's mana explodes like a volcano, a final warning before his catastrophic wrath is finally unleashed. "One more word," he growls, "and you will face the true fury of a high mage." Unfazed, Rebecca whispers the name again, a bold challenge to the man who failed to protect her. Garen's fist bleeds from rage. He summons a devastating storm spell, tearing the very earth apart. The gale levels everything, seemingly erasing Rebecca from existence in a whirlwind of absolute destruction. But it's a trick. Garen realizes too late that he wasted his move on a mere illusion. Frustrated and humiliated, he uses wind magic to track her, only to find her lurking behind him. Rebecca strikes from the shadows. Her blade, coated in magic, aims directly for the High Mage's throat. Time slows down. Garen's world flips upside down as the cold steel finally kisses his skin. A familiar sensation of death washes over him, the same dread he felt on 100 battlefields. Gasping, he wakes from the nightmare. Rebecca stands over him, utterly disappointed in his slow skills. "Even the brat broke the illusion faster than you," she mocks. You took 2 whole seconds. Did you see your death? She sneers, as Garen realizes he was checkmated by a cheap trick. Cheap, like your pride, she retorts. But at least I didn't start a war I couldn't finish. She points out that this battlefield was his creation, a lure to force her out of hiding. Garen begrudgingly admits the truth. He leaked the core's power just to draw her into his trap. No mage is fiercer than her, Rebecca sighs, but Veli restrains her reckless impulse. Garen raises his staff. The genocidal madwoman, he spits. Rebecca merely smirks at him. A sinister smile crawls across her face. Impressive struggle just to face me, old man. You slaughtered dozens to get here, yet call me the monster? Her laughter echoes. Garen's mana explodes in fury. Do you see your pathetic end? Rage burns bright. With eyes full of malice, he makes a vow. He will show her despair. A declaration of war begins. Rebecca's fate is now sealed in blood and shadows. Mages die on the path, she whispers, recalling her mother's dark, prophetic omens. Warriors die by the sword, but mages. We perish within the abyss of magic. Show me that end. She shatters the mana flow with her own bare hands. A worthy end for a legend. That was the only wish she had left. 27 years of obsession won't be in vain. Another illusion shatters into nothingness. Garen realizes the trick. Riley sneers at the losers, Abel and the arrogant Dorothy. Dorothy's pride finally snaps. Bitter insults fly as the heavy atmosphere turns toxic. Pure provocation. Dorothy falls for the trap, her noble composure completely shattered now. Low-class brat, Dorothy screams, blinded by a single, humiliating sneak attack from Riley. Dark magic surges violently. I'll erase you. The hatred in her voice is palpable. Calm is a mage's greatest weapon. Emotional attacks are just predictable child's play. Riley dances through the chaos. Abel pleads for sanity, but it's far too late. The battle is already decided. Their total lack of control is their ultimate downfall. Riley toys with them like a cat. Their desperate attacks hit nothing but air. The villains bicker like fools. 300 years, and zero growth in their magic. Pathetic. Inherited power wasted on those who refuse to evolve or move forward. But Riley's mana is flickering out. The gray-haired girl is hitting her physical limit, wounded and utterly drained. Every single breath is a struggle against the encroaching darkness. The shadow trees falter. Only the legendary bloodline can save them from this nightmare. Time is their greatest enemy. The hourglass of their lives is almost completely empty. If Becky falls, the trial ends in blood. We must reach her before then. Riley leaps through the canopy. A wild predator hiding in a frail human skin. Olivia stares in awe. A miracle is unfolding amidst this desperate, bloody carnage. Moving with lethal grace. Closing the distance like a leopard stalking its confused prey. Strike the caster, not the summon. The most basic, brutal truth of magical warfare. Victory comes with a price. Riley gasps, her body screaming in agonizing, raw pain. Superhuman focus, Green notes. But even legendary talents have a breaking point tonight. Riley is a hollow shell. Olivia can only pray silently within the dark shadows. Safe for now. Only minor wounds, but the psychological scars will never truly heal. A scream pierces the forest. The golem is writhing in a strange, mechanical agony, tortured by the forest itself, a soul trapped in stone, feeling every piercing root. Tree roots pierce its core. The silent forest has become a twisted metal graveyard. Riley cradles the core. Rest now, Toby. A mother's final, heart-wrenching goodbye kiss. No time for tears. Becky is facing the monster named Garen alone right now, tracking the mana signature. We might make it in time if we hurry. Suddenly, the light vanishes. Becky's presence. It just extinguished like a flickering flame. Stop right there. A voice like grinding stone echoes from the deep, dark void. Garen looms ahead. Rebecca is dead. Your little game ends in this very spot. Green sensed a flickering spark in the void, a presence too faint to be called life. Rebecca had withered like a fallen flower. In this exam, death meant absolute disqualification. The dream was over. Green War confirmed that her journey had reached a dead end. Garen remained cold, claiming Rebecca's sins demanded a price paid only in blood. Have you ever lost anyone? Riley spat. Garen simply replied he had lost his honor. A heavy silence fell. Riley's eyes turned cold, disgusted by the old man's twisted hypocrisy. He despised mages who played games, yet he used this exam for his personal vendetta. How are you any different? She challenged. Garen offered no excuses, only silent regret. Enough talk. Riley's irritation exploded as a torrent of hidden mana surged from her. Garen gasped. Was this mere student truly daring to challenge a master in open combat? Her resolve was steel. Garen insisted it was over. But Riley's rage was just beginning. "You killed her!" Garen scoffed, wondering why she'd defend a genocidal maniac like Rebecca. It wasn't about revenge. Rebecca's death meant Riley's entire year of effort was now worthless. "You wasted my time." Mana condensed into a lethal arcane missile aimed straight at Garen. A demon in an angel's skin, Garen mused. Her raw power surpassed every expectation. Having seen her crush his subordinates, the master realized he had to fight for real. Riley lunged with a mana-infused strike, but Garen's absolute barrier stood firm against her. She unleashed a barrage of 5 rockets, using the recoil to reposition with tactical precision. Garen smirked. He knew these petty fireworks couldn't even scratch his high-tier noble enchantments. Green watched. Without a massive increase in firepower, Riley couldn't break that sophisticated shield. There had to be a way. He noticed Olivia trembling not from fear, but resonance. She was desperately reciting something. Olivia was memorizing an ancient, forgotten sequence in secret. "That's it!" Green shouted. The winning move was hidden within that girl's frantic prayers. "Ancient magic?" Green warned her not to waste energy. They needed to buy more time. "I might surrender," Riley lied. She stalled Garen to let Olivia complete the secret ritual. Garen waited. Inside, Riley's mind accelerated like a high-speed engine, pushing her limits. Time slowed to a crawl. They needed to bridge the gap to unleash the forbidden power. Green analyzed the chant. The structure was flawless, a rare mastery of the archaic tongue, but it was incomplete. The opening prayer, the vital catalyst for ancient spells, was missing. Through centuries of silence, these divine keys had been erased from the world's memory. No matter the effort, the mana wouldn't ignite without that crucial, forgotten beginning. Green smirked. After all, he was the one who wrote that prayer millennia ago. Linking their minds, Green relayed the verses. "Riley, teach her the missing words. Now." "Don't ask how I know," Riley whispered. "Just repeat this and don't you dare stop." Olivia nodded with newfound courage. "Fine." Riley grinned. "Let's take this arrogant noble down." Garen sensed the shift. He'd expected a white flag, not a chilling surge of power. Like a torch passing its flame, Riley whispered the ancient verses into Olivia's mind. Olivia's voice rang with authority. Garen realized too late that the surrender was a sham. The air shattered. Massive debris rained down, hammering against Garen's once impregnable arcane shield. "What is this resonance?" Garen roared, finally realizing the true threat before him. "Ask her," Riley laughed. "The girl from 𝑺𝒍𝒂𝒗 is about to end you." Olivia began chanting with frantic excitement. Garen realized the tide was turning, the hidden power was finally waking. "No surrender then?" Garen muttered as magic debris battered his shields. The very atmosphere began to tremble. The ground shook with mana resonance. Riley smirked, leaving the shocked nobles to wonder what monster they'd provoked. "Ask Olivia," Riley challenged. Garen noted her academy crest. Was this girl truly just a mere student, wielding the forbidden ancient arts? How could she know such lost divine incantations? "That doesn't matter now. Stop this spell immediately or your life is forfeit." Garen summoned the howling winds. Was this revenge? He sighed at her troublesome nature. She smirked. As Garen unleashed his gale, Riley invoked a perfect dispel counter. The wind vanished. She moved like a shield, protecting her exhausted, fallen comrades. Chanting for Olivia, she watched the girl's life force flicker like a dying candle. With desperate resolve, Olivia expanded her magic circle until it bloomed like a lotus. No longer a fool, Olivia had finally awakened a legendary, forgotten ancient power. Raising her staff, she recited the forbidden spells she had always dreamed of casting. Riley and Garen stood paralyzed. It was like witnessing a god descend upon earth. "Burn, O forgotten flames of the abyss." Her voice carried absolute, divine authority. A legendary inferno erupted, surging toward Garen like a devastating tsunami of pure destruction. Green War watched the firestorm, stunned by the sheer ferocity of their first clash. It was clear Olivia possessed a monstrous, once-in-a-generation talent for the ancient arts. Finding her motionless, he rushed over, relieved she had barely escaped the Reaper's scythe. Olivia tried to help but tripped comically, her body shattered by massive mana drain. Her legs trembled. Green explained that her mortal vessel was struggling with such power. He marveled at her focus. This girl was a diamond, destined for legendary greatness. Despite her flaws, she was a future SSS rank powerhouse and a vital ally. Riley finally stirred. Olivia rushed to her side, eyes filled with genuine, heartfelt worry. Green asked if she could move. She nodded, her eyes narrowing with unfinished business. She prowled toward Garen's fallen squad like a lone wolf tracking its broken prey. Charred bodies and shattered circuits littered the ground. It was a literal, burning hellscape. Recovery would take weeks. Only a high-tier shield saved them from absolute incineration. That last-second defense was the only reason they were still breathing in this world. Garen was truly a master mage, but why had he protected his own enemies? Green explained the shield was their salvation, even if they weren't the original targets. Perhaps Garen never truly intended to stain his hands with their blood today. Riley demanded why he attacked so lethally. Green noted she was the first aggressor. Silently, Riley began mending Garen's destroyed magic circuits with her own rare mana. Basic treatment would suffice. The temple healers and potions could handle the remaining scars. Seizing the core, Riley warned Garen that his debt would be paid in blood. She invited him to next year's exam before casting the core into the abyss. Its light faded. Retrieving it from those crushing depths was now an impossible task. What about the final core? Riley refused to waste a prize won through blood. She kept it as a souvenir, then turned toward the final stage of the test. Ahead lay a beautiful garden, an emerald oasis hidden within the cold, stone ruins. No traps, no monsters. Just an eerie, dreamlike peace that felt almost like destiny. It felt surreal to find such tranquility in a place built on ancient deaths. Olivia couldn't hide her curiosity. She begged to know the secrets of the verses. Riley remained silent, honoring her vow. Olivia's heart sank, her sorrow plain to see. Green laughed at how easy she was to read, yet Olivia's grief remained heavy. "Is Becky really gone?" she whispered, her voice cracking with the pain of loss. Riley paused, a heavy sigh escaping her. Losing such a companion was a tragedy. Like losing family, the pain was deep, but their legendary journey was just beginning. Despite the scars, this crisis forged 𝒂𝒈 into a monster. His skills have peaked. 1 year. That is all he needs to conquer the academy and reach the Ares Tower. Fueled by pure rage, he will finally crush the fake disciple who stole his legacy. 𝒂𝒈𝒆, the treacherous tower master. He robbed the master of his dream for eternal life. But the truth was deeper. That dream belonged to Green War, a vision of absolute power. Why seek eternity? To break the cycle of death and research magic for all of time. An infinite loop of power, a world where magic never fades and growth never stops. A grand ambition to find the wretch who sealed his soul into a mere scrap of paper. Many sought this forbidden path. Disciples sold their souls just to touch the hem of immortality. This ritual was no accident. It was the culmination of decades of blood and forbidden arts. Now, the fire of revenge burns hotter. Ian played everyone like puppets in his twisted game. Olivia stood frozen in disbelief. Suddenly, a shadow fell, shattering the silence of the moment. It was Becky. Bound and fuming, she looked like a ghost returning from the abyss. Riley gasped, "How are you alive?" Becky just scoffed like he had lost his mind. Garen claimed she was dead, but it was a trap, a lie to force her surrender. Green War finally saw the truth. Her presence had been erased by a legendary artifact. Shrouded in dragon skin, she was a ghost in the shadows, invisible to the sharpest eyes. "Untie me!" she barked. With a flick, Riley shattered the magical bindings effortlessly, like a miracle. Becky was stunned. How could a low-rank mage dispel high-tier chains so damn fast? Riley played it cool, claiming hard work. But Becky knew. This was raw, terrifying genius. Yet, Riley felt a chill. Something was off. A dark secret was still lurking nearby, not a single scratch. It was clear she hadn't even traded blows with the monstrous Garen. Why let her live? Garen had every reason to kill her, yet he chose mercy instead. "If I kill you, I'm no better than you," he had said. A chilling, unexpected mercy. He demanded she quit the exam as penance. A pathetic request that made her blood boil. Riley shared a look with Green War. Something was rotten. Her story was full of holes. Garen's eyes were filled with pure slaughter. He wouldn't just let her walk away for nothing. She must have scarred Garen's very soul. A wound so deep he couldn't even kill her. She was safe, but her tongue was laced with deception. What was she truly hiding? With the tower officials watching, she kept her secrets buried deep. The truth remained hidden. If she wants to play pretend, let her, Green War whispered. They would play along. Becky sighed. Did you losers fail? Did Garen take the golem core from you both? Silence filled the air. A heavy, suffocating secret was shared between the two of them. Great, 4 times a failure, she groaned. The thought of the academy exam was torture. Riley watched her despair. She really thought their journey had ended in a pathetic defeat. Then, Riley pulled it out. The golem core glowed with an overwhelming, pulsating magical energy. Becky's jaw dropped. Meanwhile, at the enemy camp, Dorothy was trembling like a leaf. "I'm sorry," she whimpered. The fear in her eyes was palpable, her spirit completely crushed. Abel tried to calm her, but the trauma was too deep. She was trapped in nightmares. It's my fault, Abel hissed. I treated her like trash, a mere low-rank bottom feeder. Had he unleashed his full power from the start, perhaps the outcome would be different. He bowed his head in shame. The weight of his arrogance had cost them everything today. Garen looked at the battlefield. They should have won, yet the ground told of defeat. She fought me to a standstill, Garen muttered. This girl was a god-tier genius in hiding, an SSS rank monster in disguise, a talent that would soon leave the world in shock. He knew she was special, but this SSS rank pressure was inconceivable. I've recovered enough to fight. Garen's resolve was firm, but Abel urged caution. The path of a lone wolf here is suicide. Abel blamed himself, mourning Garen's missed chance to join the prestigious 5 Great Magic Towers this year. Try again next year, Abel suggested. But Garen shook his head. His aging body couldn't wait. Time was his greatest enemy. Dorothy offered words of comfort, believing in the old man's lingering strength. Garen thanked her, but his gaze suddenly locked onto a group ahead. They held a rare core. It was Pamela von Hopp. She looked utterly drained, her mana pool running empty after a struggle. Encountering a high-tier predator like her now was a disaster. Dorothy braced for a fight they couldn't win. Pamela, the legendary guild leader and a peak mage. Her reputation alone sent shivers down their spines. Garen signaled for peace. Fighting her would be suicide for his team. He raised his hands. The moment he spoke her name, she shrieked. We surrender. Take the core. Just let us live. Her team was baffled. Why surrender the prize to an old man who looked like he was dying? Do you idiots realize who this is? She hissed. That is Garen Theobane, the legendary monster. The name struck them like lightning. Silence fell as the noble's arrogance crumbled into pure, unfiltered fear. Pamela's group trembled. They had spent days hunting that core, only to lose it to a legend. We'll be disqualified, they cried. Pamela gritted her teeth. We still have 10 minutes. One final gamble. Find another core in 10 minutes? It sounded impossible, a fool's errand in this hellish, trap-filled dungeon. Nothing is impossible, she roared, her eyes burning with a desperate, iron-willed resolve to survive the night. Riley inhaled deeply. The bustling air of my city felt like a divine blessing after their narrow escape. It's peaceful, Becky whispered. Thanks to the priest's care, their battered souls had finally found a rare sanctuary. 2 days of captivity felt like a lingering nightmare. Though free, the exhaustion of a life-or-death struggle remained. A weary yawn escaped her. The final exam loomed just 1 week away, keeping the tension thick as ice. Lavinia announced the final trial, a private interview with the Tower Lords. The stakes had never been higher. Specific details remained shrouded in mystery, fueling an anxious fire within everyone waiting for the next move. Green saw the spark. This interview was the perfect stage for Riley to unleash her hidden, overwhelming brilliance. It was time to stun the Lords with her resolve. Finally, the fated meeting with Ian Ares was close. Rebecca, acting like a lazy kitten, announced her retreat. She was clearly hiding from some unspoken shadow. Riley's gaze flickered with unexplained concern. Where will you stay? She asked, her voice laced with worry. I have a contact in Wingham, Becky replied coolly. Riley blinked. Why keep such a secret until this moment? With a cryptic smile, Becky mentioned the whale paradise, urging Riley to see the world's hidden wonders. Riley fell into deep thought, weighing the suggestion. Suddenly, Becky laughed and called her crazy for being serious. See you at the final trial. Take care of Olivia, Becky shouted, vanishing into the crowd like a ghost. A bittersweet parting followed. When Riley asked her plans, Olivia revealed her thirst for the forbidden Acadia library. Riley just wanted a bed. She dreamed of room service, piles of ice cream, and total, blissful isolation. A hot bath and endless relaxation, it was a luxury dream meant to wash away the blood of battle. Olivia agreed. Rest was their ultimate weapon. But as they reached the hotel, the atmosphere turned cold. Riley anticipated a legendary sleep as her reward. Instead, she walked right into a den of powerful players. Garen, Abel, and Dorothy stood there. The peaceful illusion shattered, dragging Riley back into a harsh reality. I forgot you existed, Garen remarked coldly. Then, Dorothy approached, her aura radiating a sinister, demonic chill. Just as the killing intent peaked, Dorothy lunged into a hug. The terrifying pressure vanished into cheerful laughter. I'm Dorothy Grad. Let's be friends, Riley. Her sudden warmth was more unsettling than her previous malice. Riley realized the truth. Someone had secretly handed Garen the golem core, securing his victory at the buzzer. Giving away a core with 10 minutes left? Green scoffed. Only a fanatic or a madman would do that. The others had survived the trial too. Green advised Riley not to dwell on the shadows moving backstage. Abel invited her to a celebratory dinner. Riley initially declined, her heart set on solitude and room service. But royal chefs and celebratory feast changed everything. Her hunger finally outweighed her desire for peace. At the banquet, Riley became a bottomless pit. She devoured the royal delicacies like a starving beast. "You eat like a monster," Green chuckled. "Your appetite is even more terrifying than your magic skills." The table erupted in laughter. Riley simply shrugged. She needed massive energy to fuel her rapidly awakening powers. The conversation shifted to the golem cores. It sounded like a hunt for legendary, world-changing treasures. Pamela hissed, blaming the management for hiding the core at the base of a treacherous, jagged cliff. "You're the one who caused the mess," Green countered. He signaled for Pamela to keep her mouth shut. Garen marveled at the miracle. Finding that core in under 10 minutes was a feat of pure genius. He praised her talent, claiming the title of We's greatest explorer was hers by divine right. "It wasn't me," Pamela smirked. "It was my secret disciple, Zuber Winfred. He sees what others cannot." He had located every golden golem in the ruins. Garen's eyes ignited with an intense, burning curiosity. "He's a monster," Pamela boasted. "His mana absorption is like a black hole devouring everything in its path." Yet, Green noted that Zuber didn't even flinch at the praise. His coldness was truly unsettling. "He's arrogant, yes," Pamela admitted, but in their world, such overwhelming strength justified any level of pride. Green couldn't deny the boy's potential. With such talent, Zuber could easily reach the pinnacle of high-ranking mages. Zuber had cleared the administrative maze instantly. Pamela claimed no one could possibly have been faster than him. "Wrong." Dorothy's voice sliced through the air. "Becky finished in 4 hours. She is the real speed demon." Pamela lashed back in disbelief. To her, Becky was just a madwoman who gambled with impossible odds. Claiming clones make the test invalid, Dorothy nods while Pamela fumes with elitist rage. Pamela boasts Garen took 1 day, leaving Zub in a pathetic second place at 2. Garen snaps back that 2 days is no achievement, as Pamela rants about unfair magic. They label Riley a fraud for using clones. But Garen senses a legendary hidden truth. He turns to Riley, asking her actual time. Green already knows the world will shake. 6 hours 30 minutes. Silence falls as the elite's pride instantly shatters into pieces. Garen smiles, his search finally over. Green jokes if she's his long-lost legendary kin. Pamela freezes as if drenched in ice, while Zub slams the table in pure denial. A mere low-rank finishing in hours? Zub screams that it's all a rigged joke. He questions her qualification for the finals, claiming no low rank could bypass the barriers. The chaotic mana of Winham should have crushed her. How did she survive this? Experimental residue makes tracking impossible. He's certain this slave bloodline cheated her way up. Green wonders why he is so triggered, as suspicion begins to poison the room. Suddenly, Dorothy cuts through the noise with dark magic, challenging Zub's pathetic arrogance. Zub cowers before the high-tier veteran. He knows he stands no chance against her. Then comes the bomb. Riley defeated both Dorothy and Abel simultaneously. The nobles gasp. Stingwood confirms the impossible feat. Riley didn't just pass. She dominated the second trial. Zub's world collapses. How could a bottom-tier mage possess such monstrous, godlike power? Garen admits her rank hides a sleeping beast, sparking doubt even in his heart. Dorothy and Abel paid the price for their arrogance. They underestimated a true monster. A mage lives by doubt, but constant denial of genius is a path to ruin. Garen asks Zub if this pathetic jealousy is truly necessary for a proud mage. "Think carefully, boy. This was meant to be a celebration of your new peers. Why bring such venom into a hall of masters? Your hostility reeks of weakness." Pamela finally folds, admitting her student's obsession with training blinded his common sense. She demands an apology. Zub bows his head, his noble pride thoroughly crushed. Garen accepts, but issues a final warning. "If you doubt her, challenge her directly." He adds with a smirk that Riley would likely relish crushing him once more. Riley's aura explodes like a hunting predator. Garen watches the leopard prepare to strike. She accepts the duel. Greenwater senses the chilling bloodlust of a true apex predator. She despises those who forget their place. Her eyes promise a swift, brutal lesson. Green senses a storm brewing. A dark omen rises, signaling a catastrophic shift. Anxiety chokes the air. Suddenly, a knock sounds like a death knell from another realm. Olivia enters the room, her presence shifting the very atmosphere of the hotel lobby. Pamela shrieks in terror as if a demon appeared. Absolute fear paralyzes her soul. Confusion erupts as Pamela's group drags Olivia away like a high-stakes hostage situation. Garen's team makes a hasty exit, fleeing the chaos like prey, sensing a hunter. Riley asks the forbidden question, "How can I force my second awakening to happen?" Greenwater studies her. Has she finally reached the limits of her mortal shell? The second awakening is a divine grace, the final evolution of a master mage. With the Flora attribute, a mage ascends like a dragon, waking from eons of slumber. Green explains that facing true masters has exposed the cracks in her current power. Riley realizes her support is perfect, but her offensive power is a blunt blade. A specialist in tracking and negation, she lacks the fangs to truly kill her enemies. He warns her path ends here. To shatter your limits, you must trigger an early awakening. But be warned, this path defies the laws of nature. It is a soul-crushing ordeal of fire. Green warns of the complexity. The pain will be beyond anything you have imagined. Only a legendary few have ever succeeded. In this trial, mere talent is worthless. Success depends entirely on your grit. Willpower is the only weapon you have left. You could wait 5 years for nature, but you choose this hellish path now? You could train in peace elsewhere. However, if your heart is set, I won't stop you. Riley's resolve is like steel. Green smiles. No wall can contain her burning rage. He had planned this trial for her. He knew her anger would fuel her ascension. They vow to give their all. Riley's eyes burn with the thirst for success. She senses the attribute seed deep inside, a dormant power waiting to be unleashed. Usually mana makes it bloom, but for Riley, this natural path is closed off. The method is simple: fill the heart. Yet, Riley lacks the mana to begin. This is the paradox of magic. To awaken early, you must master a grand deception. You must lie to your own soul. Pretend you are entering a boundless virtual world. Stop worrying about your limits. You must trick your own mana heart into growing. Convince your core you possess an ocean of mana. Only then will it expand. Deceive your heart until the seed blooms. Your capacity will explode beyond human limits. This forces your veins to widen. It distorts the very laws of cause and effect. Riley is skeptical. Can a mere mortal truly rewrite the laws of the universe? Nothing is impossible, Green laughs. This process normally takes 5 weeks of agony, but for a commoner, it could take longer. The amount of work required is staggering. You must forge a mana barrier inside. A cage to contain the volatile energy. Hold the external mana until the heart changes. It is a dance with death. Unpredictable complications await. Riley realizes the sheer mountain she must now climb. Green isn't exaggerating. The pain will make you beg for the end to come. This is your greatest challenge. But the reward is always equal to the pain. Riley begins her meditation. Instantly, a searing flame erupts within her very flesh. Endure, Green commands. The next 5 weeks will be a literal walk through hell. Mana pressure weighs down like a mountain. Her body feels like it is melting away. Burning veins and screaming organs, the agony is truly beyond any human description. Green watches with a grim face. The nightmare has officially begun for the girl. 5 days later, Riley asks if this was supposed to be the hell he mentioned. Holding a brilliant golden orb, she smirks. Was all that talk just to scare me? Green's jaw drops. This monster has defied 5 weeks of logic in 5 days. I'm finished, she declares calmly. Green screams, this speed should be physically impossible. Finishing in 5 days means 7 times the pain, 7 times the soul-crushing intensity. She absorbed the agony like a demon, a monster that devours pain to grow. It was manageable, she shrugs. Why wait 5 weeks when I can do it now? Other disciples faint from the shock. But Riley's past has made her skin like iron. Green is horrified. What did the Thief Guild do to her to cause this? How could a young girl be this immune to pain? What trauma lies beneath? Her training was literal torture, bound to pillars while they feasted before her eyes. No mercy was ever shown. Her soul is covered in scars from those heartless monsters. A week of starvation ended with dry scraps. That was her reality. Pain is nothing. Riley endured pure agony. Green asked if this pain surpassed her early awakening. She nodded her head in confirmation. Her resilience was terrifying. To others, she looked insane, but Green praised her for achieving the impossible. He finally revealed her hidden power. Her attribute was lightning. Riley immediately asked if this was a good sign. Anxiety flickered in her eyes, but Greenwar smiled. This power was versatile and rare. He explained its true potential. Lightning blends fire's raw destruction with wind's unmatched speed. It is the ultimate weapon for offense and defense. He vowed to mold her into a perfect lightning mage. He would ensure she had no weaknesses at all. Green then asked if she had ever been struck by lightning. Her compatibility with this element was dangerously high. He was filled with curiosity and shock. He explained that a mana attribute is never just a random occurrence. It is forged from the soul. Personality, memories, and past trauma shape the power of the second awakening. A mage who almost drowned might command water. Another born in storms might master the wind's power. This is the absolute law of mana. Seeing Riley's terrifying affinity, he searched for a connection to the sky. He wondered if she had a history with electricity. Riley shook her head. She had never even seen lightning. She had never been shocked before. Green realized her past as a silent thief might have honed this attribute. Her life in the shadows shaped her speed. Still, he admitted such high compatibility was a legendary mystery. Riley felt a surge of satisfaction. Her mana was overflowing now. Her path to power was finally becoming clear. She burned with the desire to test it. Green agreed. As long as she was happy, he would support her. Real experience is the best teacher. They had been secluded for long enough. It was time to step out. However, Green worried about finding a target. He needed someone to test her newfound, godlike strength. He considered finding a fake guide in the city again. He admitted it might be difficult and quite scary, but fate intervened immediately. They ran right into Rupert. It was like the universe wanted this confrontation. Green mocked the foolish mage. Zuber, fueled by pride, challenged Riley to a duel right then and there. Riley and Greenwar were stunned. But Zuber was secretly shaking. He remembered what happened at the hotel. What should have been a simple fight exploded. Famous mages gathered to watch. The stage was set for drama. Rupert panicked as the situation spiraled. How did this get so big? His heart began to race in fear. Even the high-ranking judges had arrived. Zuber feared this would ruin his evaluation. He couldn't understand her silence. Why didn't that low-level girl decline? 5 days ago, Zuber was boasting about his perfect test scores. He had dominated the first exam. He even hunted the golden golems alone. His arrogance knew no bounds. Back then, he feared no one. 4 days ago, he thought beating Riley would cure his mounting frustration. Since she accepted the duel, he planned to crush her. 3 days ago, he heard she was hiding away. She stayed in her room for days. Garen couldn't explain why. Zuber assumed she was paralyzed by terror. 2 days ago, he stood outside her door. He mocked her for hiding from a genius like himself. 1 day ago, he concluded she was a coward. He felt like a winner before the fight even began. His confidence seemed unshakable. But today, the atmosphere changed. Zuber felt a chilling sense of impending doom. He realized her absence wasn't fear. Something was wrong. Doubts began to tear through his fragile ego. He sensed a power far beyond his own. Anxiety gnawed at him. He was trapped under the crowd's gaze. He felt like he was in a maze. The confusion was overwhelming. He couldn't even find the right words. Zuber was lost in his own panic. He didn't even notice his master calling him until she touched him. Pamela told him not to worry. She claimed Riley was just a low-tier mage with pathetic mana reserves. She insisted Riley's attribute hadn't even awakened. It was the perfect time for Zuber to show his worth. Zuber shouted in agreement, his ego returning. He regained his confidence. At the arena, the referee stepped forward. He thanked the crowd for their patience. All preparations were complete. He introduced the first combatant to the world. He presented the secret disciple of the great Pamela von Hopp-Part. Zuber Winfried stepped out with grand arrogance. The crowd cheered for the noble prodigy. But then, the referee turned to the other side of the stage. He introduced the rising star. She was the one backed by the Empire's strongest shield, High Mage Garen. The duel was officially declared. The clash between these two mages was about to shake the very foundations. The crowd roars. Zuber, emboldened by his master's secret teachings, finally casts away all his fear. He'll prove the overwhelming gap between a common mage and a mid-tier 2 prodigy like himself. Mana surges as they clash. Dorothy watches, paralyzed with shock. Is this the boy who crushed Gel? She can't believe Gel fell in 2 strikes. Yet, Zuber stands tall, radiating absolute confidence. My master was right, Zuber declares. Even Appel admits this talent is monstrously unexpected and overwhelming. Dorothy bows in apology. Then, Garen makes a shocking proposal. Become my personal disciple, Zuber. Zuber is stunned by the honor, but his loyalty remains unshaken. Pamela is my only master. Garen praises his noble conviction, promising support. Suddenly, Lavinia interrupts. The trials are officially over. Welcome to the 5 Great Magic Towers. The announcement sends the entire academy into a frenzy. The crowd chants his name. Jally watches, while Greenworld yawns at the pathetic display. Riley wonders why Zuber is laughing. Greenworld scoffs. Boring. He's weaker than a training dummy. Suddenly, Riley unleashes a lightning orb. Zuber screams, collapsing instantly as his world turns black. One hit, Greenworld sneers. The elite mages watch in horror as Zuber lies utterly broken. Total silence. One strike of pure elemental magic. Jally isn't a student. She's a literal monster. The atmosphere shifts. Everyone looks at her with raw terror. She is something truly alien and dangerous. Garen gasps. To awaken an elemental bloom so fast, it's a miracle beyond all logic. Greenworld whispers, acting like a director. Now, play your part. Use the prepared script. Jally. Riley plays her role perfectly. During the second trial, a spark ignited within my very soul. Like a bolt from the heavens, everything became clear. I couldn't let this feeling fade away. 5 days of deep meditation revealed my inner world. And then, this miracle finally occurred. Garen is moved. A heaven-defying genius. You are a brilliant diamond in the rough, Riley, but beware of laziness, he warns. Continue to hone this gift, or your talent will wither. It's a fatherly warning masked in awe. Suddenly, Becky storms in like a chaotic, golden hurricane. Lightning suits your messy personality perfectly. Becky laughs, claiming total credit for the entire spectacle. I gathered this massive audience for you. My marketing plan for your awakening was a masterpiece. Becky demands a thank you, but Riley just stares, her mind focused on much greater things. Riley remains silent, then scoffs. The idea that Becky caused her sudden rise is utterly absurd. Becky should be the grateful one. Dorothy fluttered over like a bird to its nest, praising Gel's absolute brilliance. She wondered how such a beauty possessed such monstrous talent. Even Appel was curious about her attribute awakening secrets. As the excitement peaked, Greenwar stepped in to cut through the noise. This lively drama had gone on long enough. No more predictable reactions. It was time for real answers as Lavinia took the stage like a grand mistress. With everyone gathered at this perfect moment, she prepared to reveal the secrets of the final examination ahead. Green smirked, noting Gel surely earned high marks. Lavinia then summoned the scrolls for a massive announcement. The air grew heavy as she explained the climax. The final test would be a personal interview with the Tower Masters. Each of the 5 Great Magic Towers held the ultimate power, the right to nominate their chosen candidates. A nomination meant an immediate interview. If accepted, all other prospects would be instantly rendered void. Greenwar called it a high-stakes courtship. The towers were essentially fighting to seduce the brightest talents first. It was a thrilling game of power. Riley realized that receiving a nomination was basically a guaranteed victory. Green confirmed her suspicions. But Dorothy wondered, what if a genius received more than one prestigious offer? Lavinia explained that the candidate could then choose. Green noted that despite potential conflicts, the towers planned meticulously. Riley's sharp mind deduced the truth. If they were announcing names now, the list was decided days ago. Green nodded. No grand institution drafts a legendary list just 10 minutes before the big reveal. Riley sighed, seeing the public matches as meaningless. Green agreed, lamenting he hadn't pushed her awakening sooner. He mourned the missed time but quickly recovered. The past was gone. Only the future mattered now. Their true target was still Arante's tower. Whether they received a formal nomination or not didn't change the goal. Suddenly, Lavinia began reading the names. It felt like flipping to the final, shocking page of a mystery novel. First up, the Blue Magic Tower. A legendary pillar of the Empire that birthed the great mage, Jan Siskin. The first nomination went to Garen Edward von Theben. The prodigy simply bowed, accepting his fate with cold silence. It was an expected outcome. Even Gel muttered that this result was obvious from the very beginning. Green reminded her that the 5 towers always hunt for all-rounders. But then, the shockwaves truly began. The White Tower also nominated Garen. The repetition sent ripples of disbelief through the entire hall. Unbelievable. The Purple Tower also chose Garen. Dorothy and Appel gasped, was this guy monopolizing every single tower? The dominance was staggering. But Lavinia continued, announcing the Red Tower's choice. The sharp-tongued Olivia. Hearing her name, Olivia bloomed with pride. Green noted her noble blood and talent made this an easy choice. Yet, he wondered if her dabbling in ancient magic was a waste of her prestigious lineage. Garen informed Rebecca that Olivia had successfully revived lost ancient magic. Rebecca, however, remained deeply skeptical. "You weren't even there to see it," she scoffed, accusing Garen of weaving lies to hype Olivia up. Lavinia stepped in, apologizing for the interruption but confirming that Garen spoke the absolute truth. Olivia's mastery of ancient arts had captured the gaze of Grattan, the fierce master of the Red Tower. Becky stood frozen in shock. Green remarked that the Red Tower, obsessed with raw power, couldn't ignore her. While everyone focused on Garen, the Red Tower had played their cards perfectly for Olivia's talent. Finally, the moment arrived. Lavinia announced the nomination for the legendary colorless tower. Orontes. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Lavinia suddenly froze, her voice trembling as if seeing something impossible. Gel and Green watched in suspense. Finally, the name dropped. Gel, the master himself had chosen her. Ian Orontes personally spent his nomination on her. Olivia bit her lip, asking if the elders were truly impressed. The confirmation was overwhelming. The veteran mages were singing Gel's praises like she was a divine gift. The banquet roared back to life. Appel and Dorothy toasted to the future as Gel spoke with Green War. Amidst the feast, Gel sensed something strange. It felt like the officials already treated them as winners. "It feels like a scripted play," she whispered. Green War agreed, sensing the heavy hand of destiny at work. Tomorrow was the final test, yet the air was too relaxed. The 5 towers had already made their choice. The interview felt like a mere formality. The real test might have ended before it even began. As the mystery deepened, Becky approached. The tension was rising as the true game was about to start. Becky downed her drink, the stench of alcohol masking her deep despair. Seeking escape in the dregs, she grilled Riley about the tower's secrets. Riley remained cryptic, while Garen watched the drunken mess unfold. "Uka is best," Becky insisted, others seeing her as a monster. She laughed bitterly, a broken soul rejected by every elite tower. Suddenly, Theoban approached like a silent, haunting ghost from shadows. He questioned her desire to follow her mother's tragic, ancient path. "My mother was a legendary alchemist," Becky snapped back with pride, "a renowned master with deep, hidden ties to the Uka Tower." But Riley suspected darker reasons for their painful, forced separation. Was it magic or a deeper curse that truly divided them? Becky sighed, hiding the agony of a mother dead 11 years. She expected pity, the typical response to such a tragic story. Riley stayed silent, but Becky mocked her supposedly sheltered life. "You wouldn't understand the agony of losing your entire family." "I lost mine too," Riley whispered, shocking them like a thunderclap. Stunned, Becky drank more to flee from the devastating truth. She confessed her childhood bond with the powerful, elite tower master. Riley's eyes narrowed. Was this exam just a game of favors? A candidate with such high connections? The injustice felt suffocating. "They never stopped me," Becky noted, dismissing any claims of unfairness. Riley questioned the morality of staying at the tower master's home. Becky pointed to a mentor whispering secrets to a top student. A man looking younger than his pupil, a chilling, unnatural sight. The mystery of their eternal youth left everyone deeply confused. Mages interrupted, their arrival signaling an unavoidable and tense clash. They spoke of Oronte's dark secret, the forbidden ritual of immortality. Garen turned serious, sensing a truth that could shatter their world. "Everyone has ties here," Becky warned, eyeing Theoban's cold gaze. The magic world was small, a web of hidden elite relationships. Riley asked Greenworld if these rumors were actually true. "At this level, politics and magic are one," he finally admitted, a network of influence that could easily sway the final results. Yet, Greenworld insisted that raw, SSS rank talent still reigned supreme. All eyes were on Riley, the comet shaking the Noble Academy. Theoban suddenly asked if she would join the Orontes Tower. Riley hesitated, torn by the Tower Master's strange, tempting offer. Theo's mask slipped, revealing a flicker of true, raw fear. "I'm going," Riley declared, her resolve harder than any enchanted steel. "Reconsider," he urged, just as a shadow loomed behind her. Lavinia appeared like a specter, chilling the air around them all. The chief administrator arrived, radiating an aura of absolute, ancient power. Becky gasped. Was she really from the legendary, noble Chua bloodline? Lavinia confirmed it, revealing her secret ties to Olivia's great house. A woman whose youth defied time, shocking the entire noble group. Riley smirks, questioning if Lavinia truly hails from the Orontes Tower. The elder confirms her status, promising Riley a future without regrets. Like a scripted machine, Lavinia delivers a perfectly practiced, grand speech. She boasts of Orontes' rapid rise to the top 5 towers. Every word flows flawlessly, masking a dark and sinister deception. She credits their fame to Mata's legendary ritual of immortality. To Riley, It sounds like a hollow and blatant lie. The Tower Master is obsessed, offering Riley a personal nomination. "Join us," she whispers, "and every resource will be yours." With a chilling smile, she departs, anticipating tomorrow's final trial. In the silence, Riley knows the truth. The Elder is lying. Lavinia is clearly a puppet, colluding with the fraud. Ian. "If I had hands," Green rages, "I'd slap that woman." Riley teases, offering to strike the woman in his stead. Green panics, begging her to avoid a reckless, early confrontation. "Rest now," he sighs. Tomorrow, the real hunt begins. Suddenly, an ominous knock shatters the quiet of the night. A heavy, unsettling presence lingers just beyond the door. Suspicions rise, but relief follows. It's only Becky and 𝒂𝒂𝒏. Why have they arrived at this late, soul-chilling hour? 𝒂𝒂𝒏 immediately casts high-tier sealing magic on the room. Silence, detection, and interference absolute security is established in seconds. Orontes is a death trap, he warns. War is coming. That tower is destined to be wiped off the map. Becky reveals the truth. Orontes is a rot disguised as progress. They act modern and open-minded to lure the world's elite, but their innovation is a mask for a terrifying, ancient evil. The reality is a nightmare compared to their golden facade. 𝒂𝒏𝒌 used a forbidden ritual to grant eternal life. In exchange, the elders swore blood-bound loyalty to their master. It is a ruthless dictatorship fueled by a forbidden curse. Nobles sell their souls, desperate for a taste of eternity. But the immortals are marked by foul, soul-consuming demonic energy. Now, the royals and the temple prepare for total war. They will not allow the laws of life to be shattered. 4 great towers watch Orontes like hungry, vengeful wolves. Yet Orontes is cold-blooded, crushing anyone who dares oppose them. They will use any foul means to protect their secret. "They murdered my mother," Becky whispers, eyes blazing with fury. "Do not enter that den of shadows," 𝒂𝒂𝒏 warns. Riley smiles calmly. "Don't worry, I have a plan for them." The final exam begins with 5 mysterious, glowing gates. Without hesitation, Riley marches toward the gate of Orontes. Beyond that portal lies her enemy, the fraud who fooled humanity. The long-awaited hunt for the fake disciple begins now. The ritual of immortality begins. To find the truth, they step inside. Their destiny starts now. Darkness swallows the grand hall. Orontes sits upon a massive throne. The Tower Master finally appears. He greets the new disciples. But his eyes lock onto Jelly's book. What secrets lie within those pages? Grimoire trembles in sheer terror. Will her fear reveal their secret? But Jelly's expression remains ironclad. "It's a memento from my mother. Her motivation to reach the top. A flawless lie to survive." Did the old fox believe her? He moves to the next test. The pressure shifts to green war. Boulders crash from the ceiling. Giant stone statues rise from dust. A battlefield appears before them. This is the trial of Orontes, a life-or-death game of chess. A brutal challenge for Jelly. Both sides clash with fury. They command their warriors like gods. A high-stakes magical duel begins. Orontes ignores the board entirely. He watches only Jelly's face, hunting for a crack in her soul. "Do you know our colors?" he asks a cryptic riddle. "The philosophy of the great towers. White is the purity of essence. Red is the flame of destruction, powers that can raise empires. Purple is the art of creation. Blue is the path of principle." She explains with perfection. A brilliant answer from the girl. "Then why is our tower colorless?" He pushes her even further. "Because we can become any color. Constant adaptation is our true strength. We change to conquer. 300 years of survival. The secret of the great tower. Perfect adaptation is ultimate power." He strikes. Her king piece shatters. Stone explodes into 1,000 fragments. A devastating psychological blow. This isn't just a strategy game. He is stripping her soul bare. Every move is pure aggression. The board descends into chaos, like 2 monarchs lost in madness. A storm of reckless violence. A cruel and realistic battlefield. He is forcing her to break. Stripping away her human mask. Is she a cold-blooded monster? Can she adapt to this hell? He seeks his own reflection. Riley handles his torture with grace. Her answers are sharper than blades. She counters every strike perfectly. Orontes laughs like a madman. He finally recognizes her terrifying talent. A legendary genius is born. The cursed, hidden bloodline of the slave rally.